creates uncontrollable anticipation. No other racetrack in the world is quite like it. Today, NASCAR's biggest track is the biggest roadblock for our championship contenders. Get through this one and you'll sleep a whole lot better tonight.
Stacey Compton, Brian Scott, Matt Krabs, all charging the highway. Push up the middle with Johnny Sauter, buried right at the tailgate. Here at Talladega, if you're in the top 15 or 18 with 2 laps to go, you got a chance to win this thing. Single file, it's a freight train this time off turn number 4. No problems. Can he keep it down low?
We're going to have a heck of a finish here very shortly at Talladega.
All you have to do is say the word Talladega and undeniable images come to mind. Now, new fans may not know exactly where it is, but they know what it is. The place where truly anything can happen. The setup, presented by Polaris, is on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Setup. I'm Krista Voda. 5 years ago, the trucks came to Talladega for the very first time. Now, we know they would put on a good show, but even we were blown away by the jaw-dropping finishes. You will likely see another of those today. Ray Dunlap and Hermie Sadler are in the corral. Sprint Cup qualifying just wrapping up. That means our Truck Series drivers, Ray, have some choices to make.
And Krista, that's going to be, do you have a dancing partner and can you keep them all the way till the last lap? And Chris Fontaine, when we were in Daytona this year, you teamed up with Kyle Busch. So have you talked to him and do you guys have an agreement?
I've talked to him a little bit and he came and got my radio frequency, so we'll see what happens. I've got to finish one of these races. I've been really close a couple times. First I had to get the last couple laps in and we'll see what happens.
All right, Hermie, what you got?
Well, I got an experienced guy, Todd Bodine. You've won here twice. Do you have a plan for today and a partner to go with that plan?
Well, the plan is you kind of just hook up with whoever's in front of you. You know, you can talk to guys, which we have. We've kind of told some guys that we worked with in practice we'd like to work with them, but it's really whoever you get behind. You know, the best laid plans of mice and men.
Give me who you running with. Give me the scoop.
We got to start at the back. You know, we had to change some ignition. The truck wasn't quite running right, so we got a ways to go before we can hook with those guys. But you'll figure it out when I get there. But the Service Central Tundra, you know, it's the same truck we've won those races with, even though it's completely different. And it drove good, and it's just a matter of how you hook up and who you hook up with.
So go back to Ray Dunlap. That's Todd Bodine.
All right, thank you, Hermie. Let's talk to Josh Richards. I know dirt track's your style, but how about 2.66 miles? You're going to need a partner. You have one?
Right now, we just want to play it out and see where we can get in line and just go from there. You know, we drafted with a few trucks yesterday, and we kind of know what trucks are better to draft with than other ones. So the biggest thing is now just get in line and try to find a safe spot. I don't think there really is one, so you don't really know what to expect. So I'm excited and can't wait to go to race.
Practice makes perfect, Krista.
Thanks, Ray. Heading into our last race in Vegas, the top 3 drivers were just 19 points apart. Now, just 7 points separate Dillon, Sauter, and Buescher, and none of those 3 have won the championship before. Our 2 youngest contenders, last week it looked like they were going to give the title away. Here's a look back.
Heading into Las Vegas, the cards seem to have already been dealt. Some drivers holding on pocket aces, and others hoping to draw some good luck.
Honorary starter Troy Datcher holds the green flag high and lets it fly, and we are underway at Las Vegas.
Dillon and Hornaday side by side. Hornaday with the edge off turn 4.
With 2 laps dealt, Dillon lost his hand, or handling, on the point lead.
Dillon off turn number 4. Austin Dillon's in the wall.
Guys, that's our point leader.
Real bad.
That truck's going to have some serious repairs to the right front.
Come to pit road right here. Now go straight to the garage, straight to the garage.
Taking advantage of the young star's trouble, Johnny Sauter went all in early.
You can see there, Johnny Sauter made himself an angle for the turn, and Ricky Carmichael happened to be up above him.
With a high attrition rate, Dillon's team persisted, and his bad hand was still playable.
I think he has a chance now, even being a few laps down, of possibly finishing the top 20 in this race because of all the carnage we've had.
But then, Dillon and the other players in the game got even luckier.
Our point leader right now,
James Buescher in the 31. Extensive damage to that truck.
Well, boys, let's just bring Timothy Peters and Ron Hornaday back in this point battle.
Dillon's and Buescher's troubles eventually subsided after a long trip to the garage.
The guys worked hard to get it back out there, and we salvaged a couple spots and only lost I think 4 points to them.
We were gaining spots there at the end, one by one, from people wrecking. Talladega and Martinsville are the ones you really worry about today. It was just a crazy race.
Taking advantage of the young star's trouble was the 53-year-old veteran who had the best hand at Vegas.
He's had the champion spark plug logo on that truck today. He's made a championship performance and run for the championship this year.
He has survived, he has dominated, and finally, Ron Hornaday Jr. wins at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Thank you so much. Let me drive this thing. This is cool.
Hornaday cut into Dillon's chip lead, as well as Sauter and Peters.
So do you have a shot at this title?
We're not out of it. We're going to be like Rocky Balboa. We're going down swinging.
With 4 races remaining, only 25 points separates the top 5, with the biggest wild card yet to be played, Talladega.
With the win, his 51st career in the Truck Series, Hornaday moves up to 4th while Peters falls to 5th. Buescher falls from 2nd to 3rd. Remarkably, Dillon was able to increase his points lead from 3 to 5, but now he has Johnny Sauter closing in. So, Ray, has the panic set in for Dillon?
I'll tell you, Krista, you could throw a blanket over those front 5 guys in the points, so we always know this is a variable at Talladega. How do you approach your race today, Austin?
Go have fun. When we get to the end of the race, hopefully we're out front. I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of strategy that you talk about leading up this race, but when it comes down to it, it's really going to be who's there at the end, and if you're there at the end, hopefully you can get it done.
The 3 truck is very fast, and so is the 31. Let's check in over there with Hermie.
Well, you're right, Ray. He is our pole sitter for today. Drop back to 3rd in points after Vegas. What's your plan to get those points back and, more importantly, get this truck in victory lane?
Plan to get the points back is get the truck in victory lane, but no, I think the Bad Boy Motors Chevy's fast. We obviously have some speed in it, getting the pole, and if we can just keep it up front, it leads the pack really well. So if we can just stay up front and try to stay out of trouble, that's ideal. But you never know when these guys are going to try to start doing that 2-car tandem or 2-truck tandem, and you don't know if they're going to do that. And if they're able to do that and check out on the field, that's going to force the rest of us to have to do it. So hopefully we can just race in a pack like we normally do in these trucks, and just keep the Bad Boy Mower Chevy out of trouble and keep it up front.
Well, he's proved to us, Krista, he's got a fast truck. We'll see if he's got one that he can take it to the front when it counts.
Thanks, Hermie. In that race last week and several times throughout the year, the truck shared the track with the IndyCar Series. The entire racing world suffered a loss in that race Sunday at Las Vegas when IndyCar driver Dan Wheldon lost his life. Several of our drivers in the Truck Series share personal connections with Wheldon. Max Pappas raced with him in Formula Fords and the Toyota Atlantic Series. He is honoring Wheldon today. The Thor Sport organization shares a connection through longtime owner-sponsor Mike Curb. Curb was part sponsor on Wheldon's winning Indy 500 car this year. The entire NASCAR community is honoring Wheldon as well. Every truck and car on the track here at Talladega this weekend will be displaying a Lionheart sticker. That is the image that Wheldon wore each week on the back of his racing helmet. Several NASCAR drivers have donated items to a charity auction that has been set up as a memorial for the 2005 IndyCar champion. Today, funeral services are taking place in Wheldon's hometown of St. Petersburg, Florida. A public memorial service for the 2-time Indy 500 winner will take place tomorrow in Indianapolis. A native of England, Dan Wheldon leaves behind wife Susie and young sons Sebastian and Oliver. Dan Wheldon was 33 years old. The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. Brought to you in part by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. And in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. Well, Talladega has sights, sounds, even a smell all its own. Seriously, you are greeted by a thick blanket of campfire smoke every single morning. It's not just a track, it's an experience. Welcome back to the racetrack that doubles as a city. Is actually unbelievable. We talked about the experience, and speaking of experience, Ray Dunlap got a really fun one recently when he got to tag along with driver Matt Crafton for one of his favorite hobbies, a sand rail excursion in the desert. We actually tried to leave Ray behind. Take a look.
Must have water. 4 days in the desert. Must have water.
Need water? I got that for you.
Water! You know what else I need? How about a dune buggy ride?
Let's go get it. This is a Tatum Motorsport sand car called the Dual Sport Free Runner. It's an awesome car. It's a hobby that I've always wanted. I mean, these sand cars, I got my first one about 3 years ago, and I've been addicted. And I had that one for 3 years, and it's a great buggy for me. And talked to a guy named Rich Ronco, builds Tatum Motorsports. He builds really awesome buggies. I've always looked at his stuff and dreamed about his stuff. And finally, I mean, we worked a deal and we got one, and worked a deal with Chevy, and we got us an LS7 in it, and we have a lot of fun. I've been coming out to the sand since I was about 10 years old, and I mean, once you realize how to drive these cars, it handles phenomenal. I mean, going through the dunes, what we could do when we're going back through there and you get some of that rhythm section, it's awesome. I mean, it is one of the funnest things I do. I'm going racing the truck on Saturdays, a blast, but this is the...
We come down off of that one hill, and we're going straight in. I'm like, we're just going right in to bury ourselves into the ground. You slow down, hit a gear, and up over the hill we go. I couldn't believe it. The experience to me, I think, was just so different than I had expected. You know, I mean, I knew there was a lot of horsepower, and I knew you'd have a lot of power to drive it, but that ability to turn it on a dime and to make those quick whip arounds, that's the part that I wasn't expecting. And then a couple of the jumps, I know we were at least 65 feet in the air, right?
We were probably about 4 foot off the ground.
4?
Yeah, that was
Felt
it.
like 65.
Yeah, that was because you were screaming.
And I was, I promise. I promise you it's a take your breath away experience when you're out in the desert with this guy, but how breathtaking will the racing be today here at Talladega?
It's going to be a lot more breathtaking today for me than it was the other day for you. I think we got a pretty good Menard Chevy. I mean, as long as we got somebody pushing us, and we got to be able to push some people as well. We're going to be working with our teammates some. We're going to just be patient and try to be there at the end. But I want to know how you got your voice that high on that buggy. I mean, you hit some high notes.
Practice makes perfect.
That's it.
All right, Hermie.
Well, Johnny Sauter, all things considered, you had to be pretty happy how you got out of Vegas, made up a few points, got a top 5. Tell us about how you handle this business here at Talladega today.
Well, I wish I knew that. This is always a chess match. You know, you just last year we spent most of the race running around 25th or so, and then towards the end we got a little bit of help and got a push and had a shot to win the race at the end. So it's just, but we used that same philosophy at Daytona this year and ended up getting run over from behind during a wreck. So you just never know. I hate to say the word luck, but that obviously plays into it quite a bit. So safe auto carrier curb record Chevy was good, and just got to avoid the big one. I mean, that's all you can do, and hope that the good Lord's looking over you, and you can walk out of here with a good day. Do you plan to go with your teammate to the back, or do you plan to try to make your way to the front right away, or do you have a plan? Well, I have a plan. We're going to go to the back. We had an unapproved adjustment this morning, so we're going to go to the back regardless. And obviously I've talked to Crafton. I've got everybody's radios in my truck at my disposal. So we just, you just don't have a plan. I mean, and typically these races would tend to go, it's pretty much every man for himself as it is. So, but obviously I'd love to work with Matt Crafton and Dakota Armstrong and see if we can't make it a 1-2-3 finish for Thor Sport Racing. That's Johnny Sauter looking to try to gain some more ground in this championship hunt.
Well, last week, after getting jostled around on a restart, Johnny Sauter mentioned in his post-race comments that he may have to close out the season racing all these other guys just as hard. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip are upstairs on the edge of their seats. As you can see behind me, the action starting to heat up. Guys, Johnny Sauter's words could be foreshadowing that nobody's about to give up this title.
Yeah, I like the way Johnny Sauter said, I've got a plan. And then about 10 seconds later, he said, I don't really have a plan. So that's got to be unnerving, I would think, for all of these drivers, especially the top 5 in points right now coming into this race. What's their mindset?
Well, I think it's just like Johnny Sauter said. They all want to be around at the end. And I think I've talked to Johnny earlier today, and he said, if we can just survive this race with any kind of a decent finish, then we know we're positioned great for the next 3 races. So I think it's a situation whether you go to the back at the start, like some people said, some of the guys are already back there, like Johnny, because of an unapproved adjustment, or you run up front all day. It's a little bit different mindset for the guys not racing for points because they really have nothing to lose.
I want to be up front every lap. If you go to the back, the dangerous part's the middle. When you go to the back, you got to go through the middle to get to the front. So if you just keep that thing up front and able to pace yourself at near the front of the field, I think that's your safest play. Because everybody, Rick, I trust you, is just like Johnny Sauter. They've got a plan. They're just not sure what it is.
Yeah, and right now everyone's thinking who could win this race. Well, anytime Kyle Busch is in a race, you've got to put him at the top of the list. And this will be a milestone for Kyle Busch. It's his 100th career start, and he's standing by with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick, and he's got Toyota certified used vehicles on the truck, and I have to tell you, last year's finish here, one of the most exciting I've ever seen. Where's that rank on your favorites list?
It's high up there. You know, certainly it was a lot of fun, and this place always tends to lend to some great races, especially coming to the Checker. And you know, Talladega is always an exciting one. So we'll see how the race plays out. You know, you got 94 laps here. Hopefully, guys are smart, and you know, we can make it up through there and make it to the end. You know, it's just going to be a matter of when and how soon you want to go once you get down after your final pit stop and get yourself in position.
And chances are there's going to be a little bump drafting involved too. Krista?
Well, Kyle Busch has won the last 2 truck races here. Before that, this was Todd Bodine's playground. Todd won here in 2007 and 2008, but there's a ringer in the field today. He's driving the number 33 for KHI. That would be Mike Wallace. He's a restrictor plate specialist. He's won an ARCA race here, not to mention the inaugural truck race at Daytona. Keep your eye on both of those trucks. They should be dicing their way through the field. There is nothing like the drama of Talladega. Stick around. It's about to get good.
At the beginning of the year, everyone circles Talladega as the big unknown.
It's going to be a hornet's nest. They're going to be 3 wide every inch around this racetrack. When they have 2 trucks on the inside of them, 1 truck on the outside, 3 in front of them, 6 in back of them. It's going to be unbelievable. It's always such a great show here at Talladega.
We can see these trucks 5 wide around this racetrack. It's amazing what you're getting ready to witness.
The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. And brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. It's a huge sports weekend in this area. Auburn is chanting War Eagle on the road today, visiting LSU. While the Crimson Tide hosts Tennessee tonight. Football is a passion in Alabama, but so is racing, and the biggest game in town is right here in Talladega. Welcome back. Last week, Ricky Carmichael was calling some plays of his own, especially in terms of logistics. After racing here in the Truck Series on Saturday, he had to maneuver through traffic. I know, because he was right alongside of me on Las Vegas Boulevard. He had to get himself over to Sam Boyd Stadium for the Monster Energy Cup Supercross event.
I would call it Las Vegas weekend extravaganza.
Green flag in the air, we're underway in Vegas. Oh, and around goes the 4 of Ricky Carmichael. He's going to slide back up into the field.
Got Carmichael's truck airborne from the contact momentarily. Everybody's going to try to pull away, including Ricky Carmichael.
Ricky Carmichael back on pit road.
Ron Hornaday Jr. wins at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Now we're going to go over to do some more fun stuff. The Monster Energy Cup $1 million race at Sam Boyd. It's going to be live on Speed here in about 3 hours. So can't wait to do that and see everyone here in a few hours. All right, here we are. Just arrived to Sam Boyd for the Monster Energy Cup Supercross. $1 million on the line. It's going to be fun, so I'll check you later. This is a sport that made me. It's a sport that has provided a great life for me. This is my family, and I'll be in the sport forever. It's going to be a good night. I had a good time designing it with you. Fun. Not your typical Supercross, some big jumps.
Yeah, I can say this track is pretty radical. It was pretty fun designing it. Many props to the guys that do this week in and week out. That was hard work.
Being in the booth like tonight and like I've done at other races in the year and stuff like that, I have a lot of respect for the guys that are running the show.
I'm definitely ready to see the show, and I'm telling you, the party has started here in Vegas.
The vibe here is amazing. The track is awesome, a hybrid track, and I just can't wait to watch this. $1 million up for grab. It's going to be some epic races tonight.
For the first time in history, the best Supercross and motocross racers in the world have come together to battle it out at a unique event for $1 million. This is the Monster Energy Cup, and it comes to you live on Speed from Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Shaheen. Joining me upstairs tonight will be the greatest of all time, Ricky Carmichael, and my buddy, the Fro Daddy. Jeff Emig is back with us, and working down, covering all the action on the track will be Aaron Bates.
It's fun for me. You know, I can watch the race on the monitor and you know, give my input and talk about what the guys are doing right, or maybe things that they could have done better. I really do enjoy it.
Ryan Villopoto has done it. He's won all 3. He He is the Monster Energy Cup inaugural winner, and he's a millionaire.
What a way to round out his year. Now he can go his honeymoon, $1 million richer. I can't believe $1 million, man. That is just amazing. All right, that's a wrap for the Monster Energy Cup $1 million race here at Sam Boyd Stadium. It was a great weekend of motorsports in general here, a big weekend. It's what I love to do. I'm a racer at heart, and you know, I love both sports, and you know, I'm just happy where I'm at and thankful for every opportunity that I have. And it was a great weekend here this weekend.
Well, Rick, I used to like you till I saw you preparing to take my job out here on broadcasting. What's up with that?
No, I ain't trying to take your job. It ain't like that, no doubt. But I'm ready to get this Monster Energy Chevrolet up to the front today. What a great day for racing here at Talladega, and looking forward to it. This is the same truck we had at Daytona. The last two plate races have been great for us, so just got to put it up there. It's going to be wild as normal.
Well, I got a good feeling going for Ricky Carmichael. He finished 5th here last year, qualified 4th today. Crystal, sounds like a pretty good pattern for old Goat.
Yeah, you heard him say he's excited, likes plate racing. Well, so does Chris Fontaine. Last year was leading this race and drafting with Kyle Busch. Remember the word unpredictability. This race could produce an unexpected winner. Maybe Nelson Piquet, serious wave of momentum for him. Back-to-back top 10 finishes and a string of great starts. He's on the front row today. And speaking of good starts, Johanna Long is back in the field. Despite never racing here, she qualified in the top 10. Lots to keep your eyes on. We'll get you ready for pre-race festivities here at Talladega when we return on Speed.
Next week, the Camping World Truck Series heads to the half-mile paperclip called Martinsville Speedway for its second trip of the season. Last April, Johnny Sauter went home with the grandfather clock, but now the championship race is ticking down, and it's time for some drivers to make some moves. Who will make the most of their time in Martinsville? Tune in to find out. Chris Voda hosts the setup starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.
Well, tomorrow, just turn your television to Speed and leave it. NASCAR coverage begins with Speed Center, then it's race day immediately following the race. Hear from the winning driver on Victory Lane. Then another edition of Speed Center and Wind Tunnel closes out your Sunday. Well, nothing compares to the sound of machines drafting past you in a 200-mile-per-hour vacuum on the high banks of Talladega. James Buescher lost ground last week, but he's on the pole. Ron Hornaday and Timothy Peters are back in the mix. They are all chasing Johnny Sauter and Austin Dillon. The championship can't necessarily be won today, but it can be lost. The Coca Cola 250 on Speed starts now.
To get crazy.
It's amazing what you're getting ready to witness.
Talladega Superspeedway is the biggest track the Truck Series visits each season. The possibility of losing a championship here is greater than even the massive banking that tries to hold the trucks within these racing walls. Welcome to the Coca Cola 250 presented by Fred's from Talladega Superspeedway on Speed. The top 5 in points are all eyeing the 2011 championship with hopes of hoisting the coveted trophy at season's end. This racetrack is uncaring of who is first in points or last. That's unnerving for those 5 that have to finish this race unscathed if they still want to have a chance at winning the series title. 36 trucks will be mere inches apart, running 190 miles per hour lap after lap. That's a recipe for 250 miles of edge-of-your-seat racing, and it's about to get underway. Let's go trackside for today's pre-race ceremonies.
Please rise and remove your hats as the Naval Hospital Pensacola Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Steve Keller from the Motor Racing Outreach Network offers today's invocation.
Please join me for a moment of silence as we remember our friend and our IndyCar champion, Dan Weldon. Father, we thank you today that you not only have love for us, but that you are love. And God, today as a racing community, we are asking you to meet the friends and the family of Dan Weldon with all your love. God, pour out the love of Christ on them as they grieve. Lord, help them through this difficult time. And Lord, it's a fresh reminder that what we do here is also perilous. And so God, we ask you today to protect these drivers, these crews, Lord, the officials, God, even the fans as we participate in this race. And Lord, we also would ask you to protect and defend those who protect and defend us on a daily basis. God, we thank you for our military, for our law enforcement. Lord, we just ask you to watch over them in a special way as, God, that they care for this great nation and preserve our freedom. Well, finally, Lord, we thank you for beautiful weather and a great day to race in Talladega, Alabama. In Christ's name, amen.
Performing today's national anthem, please welcome from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Staff Sergeant Jerome Coleman.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, and let's hear it for Jerome Coleman.
Fans are ready for the action that we know will take place right here at Talladega Super Speedway. Engines will fire next.
Smoke as they exit off turn number 4.
The big one. We almost had one get upside down.
You guys are awesome.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By the 100% reinvented Ford Explorer. Drive one. By Just for Men Hair Color. Live forward. And in high definition by Funai. Funai. Fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. Welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway for today's storylines. Let's go back trackside to Krista Voda.
Well, Ron Hornaday has been swinging for the fences and connecting. He's won our last 2 races. He is one of 5 within 25 points of the title. This race, not just a hurdle, it is a high jump in taking advantage. And trucks are different than cars. I know, duh, right? But what that means is this race will not look like tomorrow's. If you're not a fan of tandem racing, you should see a big pack today. And the trucks in the last 3 races here, it's all come down to a last lap pass. Blink and you will miss something. Rick, like Ryan Newman says, in order to finish first, you must first finish.
That's exactly right. Hello again, everyone. Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip, and Rick Allen with you for this, the last hurdle, I would say, in the line to the championship. Now, Michael, I think we're having a benefit with you being up here. You're the last super speedway winner at Daytona. What did we learn there?
Well, we learned that these tracks are a lot alike, Daytona and Talladega now. Pulled out on the track when practice started, we're going to bump draft. It's going to be awesome. First guy that went down in the corner bump drafting crashed. So we said, okay, that isn't going to work. But when it came down to crunch time, Phil, they started teaming up and shuffling and pushing, and that's what I had to do to get to victory lane. Is that what we're going to see today?
I think so, too. And some of the guys are saying, we're going to wait till 5 laps to go. We know that's not going to be the case. And the last 3 years, the point leader coming into this race has not finished in the top 10. So that's what a pivotal race this can be for the championship.
And I don't want to discount the guy sitting next to me has won at this very racetrack in the Cup Series. So got a lot of experience up here in the booth today. Let's get the engines fired. We go for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Vice President and General Merchandising Manager of Fred's, Alan Crockett, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
Thank you. Okay, Austin, go ahead and fire it up.
Fire it up.
Got me loud and clear down there, everything.
Drivers bringing to life 36 trucks that will be making their way around this 2.66 mile super speedway. Inches apart at over 190 miles an hour. Stay with us.
And welcome back to the Coca Cola 250 for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Trucks beginning to make their way out onto the track. They'll take 3 laps before the green flag will fly. It is a gorgeous day in Talladega, Alabama. 68 degrees, clear skies, and just a breath of a breeze here as we get ready to go 94 laps around this super speedway. Let's take a look at our starting grid. It's going to roll across the top of your screen. Once again, James Buescher grabbing the pole. Was yesterday when he was able to take that prize. He'll bring the field to the green flag here in just a moment. I want to take a look at our Camping World track description and race analysis.
Well, this place, there's a lot of stats there, a lot of numbers, but one word describes this place, Phil. Fast. Really big. And big. Okay, maybe a couple different ways. You know what's crazy about it? We got 2.66 miles. These guys are going to insist on being in a clump all over each other. 4 and 5 wide, lots of room to race here. You can run wide open in the trucks. There's a yellow line around the bottom of the track that you can't go under. That's about the only rule we got.
You know, Michael, we grew up wanting to go fast. This was the fastest of the fast. I always loved coming here.
In today's Speed Spotlight, we've got a common theme. There are 4 drivers in this race that have all won here in the ARCA Racing Series. We want to shine a spotlight on those 4. We'll start with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. It was a dandy here at Talladega a year ago when Dakota Armstrong made a last lap pass on Patrick Sheltra to get the victory. He's also won at Salem and Winchester, but he says winning on the big track is so far his biggest prize. But racing today is going to be a little bit different. He hopes to team up with his teammate Johnny Sauter. So look for that 98 and 13 to be a tandem. Hermie?
Well, Ray, another former winner here at Talladega in the ARCA Series. It's in the field today. It's Blake Feast in his 32 truck for Turner Motorsports. And he's actually been pretty consistent in this truck this year. A couple of top 15 finishes, highlighted by a 4th place finish at Atlanta earlier this year. This is his 9th career start. First one here at Talladega in the truck. He qualified 11th, and he's looking forward to taking that ARCA experience and helping him in the draft to have a chance to win this race today. Phil?
Hermie, I'd like to shine a spotlight on the 2009 Talladega winner, Justin Lofton. Justin's from Westmoreland, California, started racing downhill mountain bikes before transitioning to cars with motors. He raced hill climb and desert buggies before moving to the K&N Pro Series out west, finishing 6th in the points in 2007. In 2008, Justin joined Eddie Sharp Racing for the ARCA Racing Series, winning at Michigan. But what a season they had in 2009, winning 6 times, including the Talladega race. He had 5 poles and 15 top 5 finishes in just 21 starts, and edged Parker Kligerman by just 5 points for the championship. The Truck Series was the next step for Justin, and he made the move in 2010, finishing 12th in points. Justin reunited with Eddie Sharp Racing 12 races ago, and he's finished in the top 15 in 8 of those. Justin hopes for some more Talladega magic today, and we'll start from the 16th spot, Mikey.
In this 33 truck, Phil, it's supposed to be Elliott Sadler, but Elliott needed some time off. He and his wife Amanda are about to have a baby, or as Elliott's brother Hermie put it, that baby could be here any minute. So Elliott needed a temp. He and team owner Kevin Harvick cuddled and picked St. Louis, Missouri's Mike Wallace. Mike is a 4-time truck winner, including a big victory down at Daytona in a truck. I know how big those are. Mike has a total of 36 NASCAR starts here at Talladega, and he will lean on that experience today to try to win again. Wallace starts 6th today in his Anderson's Maple Syrup Chevy. And guys, nothing says speed to me like maple syrup.
Again, the field making their pace laps around at Talladega Super Speedway. We are just moments away from the green flag. Stay with us here on Speed, your motorsports authority. Welcome back. Coca Cola 250 about to get underway for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series here on Speed. What does it take to win at Talladega? Well, let's go to our racing chefs for the Walmart recipe for success. And we begin with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, a recipe always has a good driver involved, and I think Todd Bodine would top the list when we talk about super speedways. How about 4 wins, 2 here at Talladega and 2 at Daytona? And today, Randy Moss is on hand watching. He's hoping that Todd is the man, but they had to drop the back because of an electrical problem. But I have a feeling it won't be too long till that 5 heads to the front. Hermie?
Well, Ray, we know it takes a good team and a good teammate to get to victory lane here at Talladega, and I'm anxious to see this race today because it's not only going to take teammates, I think it's going to take experience. That's why we see Mike Wallace in that 33 truck today, not only to try to win the race for the 33, but also push the 2 in Ron Hornaday, maybe to another championship. I'm a little concerned about some of these inexperienced drivers trying to do what the big boys are going to do tomorrow. We'll see if they can get it done and have a good, safe race today here at Talladega.
Good point, Hermie. Inexperience is going to be a big key to the winning this race. Can you get through drivers that don't have much experience? We're riding along with our Toyota onboard of Todd Bodine. He'll start 25th in today's race. Kyle Busch also will carry one of our cameras. That's the Toyota-sponsored onboard with Kyle Busch. He'll start 17th. That'll be interesting watching him move up through the field. Timothy Peters has the Toyota onboard and will start 15th in this race. And Austin Dillon will start this race 3rd, carrying the Funai onboard camera. We'll see how he does and who he will partner up with at Talladega Super Speedway. Pace truck has made its way onto pit road. 33 trucks all in line, 2 by 2, as they make their way through the tri-oval, getting ready to see the green flag, which will start 94 laps here at Talladega. Green flag in the air, we're underway.
This is as calm as it's going to be right here now.
Now, is this the calm before the storm?
Absolutely.
Out in front, James Busher has a few trucks tacking in behind him. You're going to see big bunches of trucks running around this racetrack. But at times, they will test that 2-truck tandem and see if they can pull away from the pack.
And I think that will result in our first caution. The first time somebody that hasn't bump drafted or 2-truck tandem this deal tries to do that, and they don't have the experience of knowing how to do it, they're going to get a truck out of control. You need to have some experience, and you got to know what you're doing to do this.
I think we're doing it right now. That's Mike Wallace and Hornaday. Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. That's right. Mike Wallace is in the 33. Ron Hornaday. Watch them go by these 3 trucks on the inside.
Look at how fast they were able to not only come from about 20 truck lengths back, but overtake the pack and the 3 trucks on the bottom of the racetrack because they were touching. And as a matter of fact, they added Teflon tape to the front and back of these trucks so that they wouldn't be so abrasive.
Slippery tape. They got it from skateboards. That's where that tape came from.
And look at the way they've pulled away from the rest of the pack. Now, we talked with Mike Wallace. He said they can't do this for a lot of laps, but they're going to test to see how far they can go.
And they obviously didn't wait till 5 laps to go, did
No, they had to figure it out early. We figured that's the way the experienced guys would do it. And the reason why, Rick, they can't push forever is because the engine will overheat. The truck in the back is not getting air into his radiator, so it will overheat.
What do you want to do?
This is interesting. Listen to these two.
That was Ron Hornaday, and they're talking to each other.
Next lap, we need to get you to lead here. Next lap, lead, bud. I'll call him.
Now, this goes on all day long when you do these two truck tandems. Those trucks have to be able to talk to one another. See the lead they put on the rest of the field? But this is going to be interesting, Phil, when they make the swap. I don't believe they can swap and have that and still be able to keep their momentum and keep this lead. The other trucks, the big pack, is going to catch them when they go to swap. What will they do when they get there?
I watched Kurt Busch and Regan Smith swap yesterday, and it was a second, 0.4 of a second is what it took them to do it.
There they go. They're changing positions now. Hornaday will now take the point. Mike Wallace tucks in behind. In practice yesterday, they never practiced with Hornaday out front. It was always Mike Wallace that was out front, and Hornaday was pushing. So this will be their practice. And it's already, we've got 6 laps into the field, into this race.
Is it a big surprise why Kevin Harvick got Mike Wallace to run that truck?
Dragging the brake to you, coming up.
Took about a lap to figure that out. But here's the problem, Phil. This is what causes crash. You can see 3 wide trying to split those two as they make the switch. But Kevin Harvick Incorporated pulled the first few laps of this race off flawlessly. They got the lead for the 2 truck. Ron Hornaday led this race. That means a championship point.
And they're big right now.
On lap 4 of 94, 3 laps complete. Last time they went by, it was Hornaday that was your race leader, but we saw how they dropped back on the switch. So we'll see who will be on point when they come back to the stripe.
Look where they are now. They're on the right side of your screen. They probably dropped back outside the top 20.
And they were leading last time by, guys.
They were outrunning the pack by 0.4 of a second, and right now they're at the back of the pack.
Okay, last time by, Ron Hornaday leads the race. This time by, officially,
they haven't even come up on the screen yet.
Officially, I'm waiting for them to appear. 24th and 25th position. 2.6 miles, 23 trucks past them.
Out in front of the field, James Buescher once again, after winning the pole yesterday, has Austin Dillon behind him. But the trucks are not touching. They're running in a pack, but they're not actually making contact with one another. That's why they're not pulling away.
And Rick, the clock is going to, it started ticking when they threw the green, and it's just going to get more and more intense, and more people are going to try to touch and push. You saw the huge advantage the 2 truck tandems put on the rest of the field. There's going to be about 15 other pairs of 2 truck tandems that are going to try to figure this out. Ron Hornaday and Mike Wallace, perfect start to the race.
Ray Dunlap, what did Hornaday learn in that first 2 truck tandem?
Well, 2 quick things. He said they graded as not perfect because his truck was very, very good as the pusher, but not quite as good out front. And he didn't drag the brake enough to get Mike Wallace right back up on the bumper. And because they weren't hooked right together, that's why the field was able to go by. So I think they learned a very valuable lesson.
You know, I was talking to a lot of the drivers down in the garage area, and they said the front truck, because of the fact that the bumpers don't line up, Michael, were really all over the racetrack, and you had to really anticipate what to do when you got down to the corner. Once they loaded up the springs in the corner, they actually drove better than they did on the straightaways.
Yeah, the back straightaway is the toughest part of, and coming to the tri-oval, you load it in the tri-oval, it's pretty comfortable through there too. But you know, I don't know, Phil, there's no way, I can't see these guys, especially if 2 trucks are tied together when they separate to make the switch. It's going to be really difficult, even if they do it perfectly, to hold off the whole field.
They lost just enough momentum when they did that a while ago to move back out of the top 20.
So many drivers we talked to prior to the green flag dropping, we're talking about strategy. What's your strategy going to be? Well, we've talked with teammates. We've talked with other drivers. We figured out who we're going to pair up with. Once the green flag dropped, it's who's closest to you. Who do you work with because they're right there?
Yeah, and that's fine for now, Rick. But what you want to do maybe is try to work your way around and position yourself near one of those trucks that you've got to deal with, one that you want to work with. You're going to get separated, but at some point you hope to be able to match yourself back up with your guy.
I talked to Austin Dillon before the race, and he only has 3 other frequencies in his radio that he can talk to. He said now several other trucks have his frequency, but those are the only 3 that he planned on working with, and that's the 2 of Hornaday, the 33 of Mike Wallace, and his teammate Joey Coulter in the 22.
And in the Cup Series, you've heard people have 18 to 20 different frequencies that they're working with a very limited number for Austin Dillon.
My radio in my car looks like it's got Sirius XM on it. I mean, I got all kinds of choices in there. I saw the number 18, the number 20, every Toyota imaginable, a couple of Chevys. I didn't see any Fords on there. They must have something against the other manufacturers, do you think?
Well, I'm starting to see teammates working together. Todd Bodine is just in front of Brendan Gaughan. They're bringing that second line of trucks up toward the front now. They're not touching nose to tail yet, but they have been able to move up toward the front and catch up to those leaders that are running on the bottom.
They were touching a little bit. You saw what a handful Todd had in that 5 truck.
Right. Brendan looked like he was a little bit out of whack there trying to get a hold of Todd. It's really tense to make sure you do it gently. Just barely get to him, and then when you get there, you need to hold the wheel as straight as you possibly can. Any movement on the back of that truck will get the front truck out of control. You can see Kligerman now is getting a push for Todd. They're going to go for the lead, Phil.
Yep, they're going to go. They worked together in practice yesterday.
And we saw Kligerman see that second line moving. Todd was in front. Kligerman moved out in front, and he and Todd Bodine now have moved to the front of the field. Parker Kligerman is leading at Talladega.
Now you see, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. See how the trucks are moving around on each other? Todd down on the inside, then up on the outside. That's making it very difficult for Parker to drive that truck.
Extremely difficult for Parker. That's why he has his hands full trying to keep up with where that truck wants to go. And he's really, because Todd's pushing him, he's pushing that rear end around in that truck.
So Parker Kligerman leads the lap here.
Now there are times, Phil, that you will call from the truck seat. The driver will call in and say, tell him not to push me anymore. I don't like how he does it. Everybody doesn't have the finesse, the ability to push you smoothly, and you just want those people to get away from you.
We saw Mike Wallace on the outside of a 3-wide situation. They're trying to make his way up. He's got Hornaday behind him.
When I say doesn't have the ability, some of the trucks just don't match up more so than others. I know they're all a little bit.
Different manufacturers don't match up as well.
Yeah, and you just say, okay, this isn't going to work for me. I'm going to wreck.
Hermie Sadler, what's happening on pit road?
Well, take a look to the back of the pack. You'll see Thor Motorsports teammates Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton. They have fallen to the back of the field for a couple reasons. The obvious one is to try to miss the big wreck and make it to the end. But the other, to Michael Waltrip's point, they are practicing dragging the brake and doing switches to prepare themselves for later on in this race when it really matters. These guys are swapping and tapping the brake and practicing the moves they'll have to make to not lose a lot of time when they do that switch at the end of the race to try to get to the front. Ray?
Guys, they want Todd Bodine to do the switch this time by with Parker Kligerman, but they are having radio trouble with that number 5 truck, and I'm not sure Todd has heard him. They went completely through the electrical system on this truck, put in new electrical boxes, lots of wiring, and they think it may have caused a problem with the radio. So Todd needs to do the switch here, but they're not sure he's got the message.
So out in front, it's Parker Kligerman and Todd Bodine working together. They're going to try the switch. They were out in front of the pack by at least 40 truck lengths. At the opposite end of that, the Thor Sport trucks were 20 seconds behind our race leader, and they are also trying the 2-truck tandem.
In that last lap, Todd Bodine and Parker Kligerman were hooked up, was 1 second faster than anybody else in the field.
Look at the difference between your race leader, that was Parker Kligerman, and Todd Bodine, all the way back to the back of the field, and your Thor Sport drivers. How about these two up front? Bodine out in front of Parker Kligerman, leading at Talladega. He's won here before. Can he do it again? Stay with us. Welcome back to Talladega. The first caution has come out. Yeah, a big pack accident happened, but it didn't collect a lot of trucks. Only 3 really that had a lot of damage, one of those being Nelson Piquet Jr.
Yeah, some pretty good trucks, though. The 18 truck of Kyle Busch, everybody's favorite coming in here, he got a little piece of that.
I think he's going to be okay, though, Phil. I don't think that truck suffered much damage, but it was right in the middle of the pack, and you can see what the result is. Everybody's on pit road, Hermie.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter's coming to pit road to get 4 tires, no adjustments, and his teammate Matt Crafton, oddly enough, is staying on the racetrack to try to lead a lap. He'll be in next time by. Ray?
Fuel only here for Austin Dillon. Remember, 1 year ago, a number of trucks ran out of fuel on lap number 25. Dillon will get away, and it may be very, very close to Ricky Carmichael. Luckily, he cut it inside there. Carmichael came in, got fuel only also.
Buescher, Carmichael, Austin Dillon, Todd Bodine coming off of pit road first.
I sure do like staying out here, Phil. If I'm going to run in the back, why not stay out here and get us a point in this championship battle?
Yeah, I think that was a great idea. Matt Crafton, I believe, is the guy that did that. Let's take a look at this accident. Watch the outside, not the very outside slow truck, but see the orange truck. The orange and white truck of Josh Richards. He runs into the 8 of Nelson Piquet Jr. You see Cole Witt gets a piece of that. Kyle Busch got a piece of that, and Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 1 truck got a good piece of that.
A little bit of damage. Yeah, the 99 of Patrick Shelter also has some damage to the front of that truck.
Yeah, Patrick caved in the front of his truck, so that'll cause some issues with cooling that thing.
Here's another shot here. Watch the orange and white truck on the outside. He runs into the 8 of Nelson Piquet Jr., turns him down into the 20 of Johanna Long, and see the damage to the left front fender of Kyle Busch from the right rear quarter panel of that 8. Look at that job Brendan Gaughan does getting around that in the South Point truck.
There just really isn't any explanation as to why this abrupt move right here for the 51 truck. He pulled right over into Nelson Piquet Jr., and there was plenty of room to stay outside. Maybe that slower truck on the top side spooked him a little bit, and he made a jerk on the wheel, and you can't jerk the wheel in the middle of this kind of traffic.
Watch Brendan Wright in that black and yellow truck number 62. He's going to be right behind this thing. The 60 in front of him is going to get a piece of this. You see Brendan off the throttle there. There's Patrick getting in the back, and look at him getting around the 8 of Nelson Piquet Jr. And then the 99 of Patrick Shelter makes hard contact with the 8 of Nelson Piquet.
Yeah, Shelter said, I did a pretty good job not hitting the first truck, but darn, I got the second one.
Here's at speed as they're coming into 3.
It so often happens, the truck that really initiated contact got very little damage. Josh Richards, hardly any damage at all. Here we're going to
watch the 60 of Cole Witt, too. He catches a clob right in the left side of the
Timothy Peters, I believe, on the inside there.
This is Kyle Busch. This is what happens when the trucks come up and into him.
Hear him right back in the gas. He knew hanging around there wasn't a good plan, so he got right back in the throttle and drove away from that mess.
A couple of drivers back on pit road. Obviously, the 88 of Matt Crafton stayed on the racetrack to lead a lap. He came in and just got fuel only for the 88, but Kyle Busch is now on his 3rd trip back to pit road, repairing damages they got on the racetrack on the contact that you saw just a moment ago. They've been very methodical with the changes they made. The first couple times was to work on the toe end of this truck. Now they've been working more underneath the bottom of the suspension and some of the cosmetic issues on the left front fender. But tough break for Kyle Busch, but these guys feel like they're getting it back close. But Kyle did, with the experience he's got, gave them a lot of feedback on how the toe was off based on the steering wheel inside of the truck. So they're getting really close to getting him back dialed in their return to the racetrack.
Guys, we documented Matt Crafton staying out there to lead a lap. Wouldn't that have been the time for Johnny Sauter, who actually made 2 pit stops, to stay out there and lead a lap and get that 1 bonus point?
Well, heck, for anybody, especially if you're hanging around at the back of the pack and you needed a point. I mean, if you're going to run up front, that's one thing. But if you're going to hang out for a while, stay out, make your pit stop after everyone else does, get a point.
James Buescher and Austin Dillon, as they're running on the racetrack, are currently tied for our points championship. But again, the variable is Talladega and this 2.66 mile super speedway. The big one could happen. We had a little one slow us down for the first time. Tomorrow on NASCAR Race Day, Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick join us live. Plus, we'll tell you if Jimmy Johnson's Charlotte wreck ended his dynasty. Watch NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot from Talladega tomorrow, 11 Eastern, live right here on Speed. Welcome back. Coca Cola 250 about to go back green. Our first caution came out. One of the major players in this race, Kyle Busch, involved. But
green flag, green flag.
They have it fixed now as the green flag comes back out.
Austin Dillon's right where he wants to be, right behind James Buescher. That's how they ran the early part of this race.
Looks like to me, Tom Bodine wants to get a hold of the back end of the truck of Ricky Carmichael, maybe, Phil, and try to shove him out to the lead.
You know, Todd knows how to do it. He was doing it extremely well with Parker Kligerman. Parker ended up having a penalty on pit road.
You see that move right there? Ricky Carmichael said, get away from me, Todd. I'm going to pull over in front of that Chevy down on the inside and make sure that we don't... And you'll see that all day long. Guys are going to try to get guys away from them.
Look at way up top there. You see Mike Wallace and Hornaday hooked up again.
3 wide once again as they come out of turn 4 and head toward the tri-oval. Again, the start-finish line past the tri-oval here as they go through the apex of that turn. Here comes the 33 and the 2 once again. They are tied together and faster than the pack, going for the lead.
I just like watching Hornaday do this. You don't see him all moving around like we watched Bodine and Kligerman earlier. Hornaday seems like he's got a real good grasp for that truck. He's able to push Mike really straight. That's tighty right there. That's tight.
And I know that KHI team spent a lot of time and effort in their cooling system to be able to do this longer than the other teams can.
And let me tell you another little piece of information, guys. You got to get your setup right as well. If your rear end skewed, or if you have some sort of weird track bar location underneath the back of your truck, that'll affect the way your truck handles while it's being pushed. So you have to set up your truck knowing that you're going to get shoved and see what the effect of that is.
What you got to do is stay in the middle. Stay in the middle.
There's Hornaday, who's pushing right now. Mike Wallace letting him know, stay in the middle. Hornaday stays right behind.
But there's some of these guys that haven't put in the practice to understand what their setup is and how it's going to be effective. Phil, these two are making it look easy. Other people will want to try it. They'll find out.
Pick
It
your
ain't
spot.
easy.
That's perfect because you're getting air and they're not catching you.
Michael, see how far over he is. He's getting some air to the radiator now. He could probably drive for an extended period of time like that.
That was Kevin Harvick that came over the radio and said, great job, guys. Stay right where you are, Ron. You're getting enough air. He's cooling his engine, and the pack can't catch him.
Ray, what are they talking about with this tandem?
I just think it's interesting, guys, to listen to the way the different spotters have an effect on this race, and a lot of them are Sprint Cup spotters for sure. When the 5 and 29 were out there, it was Joey Meyer and Jimmy Kitchens, but they're each on the own radio. When these two are together, the 2 and the 33, they lock on to Ron Hornaday's channel on the number 2, and Billy O'Day is the spotter. He will talk them through it, but each driver's on the 2 channel, and they will stay that way as long as they're hooked together.
And guys, sometimes Ron Hornaday or Mike Wallace, who's leading this, will act as the spotter. If they were in heavy traffic, Ron Hornaday may rely on Mike Wallace to be his spotter.
Yeah, Mike would just say, okay, we're catching a couple guys. Ron, I need you to chill here a little bit. We heard Nelson Piquet when he talked on the radio during the break. He said, I try to tell the guys there's traffic ahead. You know, you talk to the people around you the best you can.
The pack is turning laps at 50.8 seconds. The guys out front are turning laps at 50.2 seconds. So quite a bit quicker is this tandem of 2. Mike Wallace in front of Ron Hornaday. It started early from the drop of the green flag. Those two working together to get out front. But as always happens at super speedways, a wobble here or there, and crashes happen. Tonight, the raging waves of the Gold Coast will be deafened by the roar of horsepower. Darrell Waltrip and Michael Joy bring you the call of the Australian V8 Supercars. Gold Coast 600 live tonight. That's 11 p.m. Eastern on Speed, your motorsports authority.
When those two were at Bathurst, the sound of silence were deafening by Darrell screaming when he got in one of those cars and went for a ride. Did you see that?
I've heard he wasn't going to do that again this week, though.
What excitement the Australian V8 Supercars are.
Still out front, it is the 33 and the 2, and while we're at break, the 16's hood, that's Donnie Neurenberger, hood flew up, and he went all the way around the racetrack, and we didn't go to a caution. He stayed on the apron, out of the way.
As he was leaving pit road, the hood came up. Now, obviously, you can see that he cannot see, so once he got next to the grass in the corners, he could see the grass, but his spotter had to tell him where he was on the racetrack.
Right. 4 seconds separating this tandem from the rest of the field. Leading that pack of trucks coming into your screen now is Ricky Carmichael in the 4. Then it's James Busher, Austin Dillon, Miguel Paludo, Timothy Peters, Max Pappas, Jason White, all up there in the top 10, as well as Johanna Long. But they haven't tried the 2-truck tandem yet.
And we've learned early in the going, that's how you're going to have to win the race. You better try it eventually. You better learn what you're doing because Ron and Mike haven't figured out. It's all set for them to race like that. A couple other tandems, maybe it's Brendan and Todd like you see on the high side here. Some other tandems are going to have to figure it out if they want to challenge for this win.
These teammates working together now. Todd Bodine in front of Brendan Gaughan.
See him favoring out to the right-hand side. You don't want to be pushing to the left side when you get down to the corner because that will push the truck sideways. You definitely want to be in the corners out to the right like Brennan is.
Again, 94 laps scheduled for this one. We've completed 26 on lap 27. Now the switch taking place, it looks like, between Todd Bodine and Brendan Gaughan. Gaughan's going to move to the inside. Bodine drops back behind him. And there's the distance between your race leader and the pack.
I'm just going to have to say that's a huge tip of the cap to Kevin Harvick Incorporated for sciencing out exactly what they wanted to do on the cooling of those trucks, the setup on those trucks, to go at it from the beginning tied together. Ray, what's happening?
Guys, I wanted to talk about the guys up front. I'll tell you what, Ron Hornaday came on and said he's right at 240. Kevin Harvick had just told him on the radio, we can live with 240. Don't let it go above that. And Kevin said, Ron, if you stay tucked in and really tight on that back bumper and not sneaking out to try to get some air, the trucks are so much faster. So just keep doing what you're doing, but don't let the water temp go above 240.
It's going to be a constant battle for them to watch the temperature gauge and watch where they are relative to the back end of that other truck. Again, it's going to be way faster if you're dead in line with them, but you can only do that for a lap, maybe 2 laps at the most. You have to get a little bit of air.
And Phil, we're not even to the halfway point of this. Ron really needs to start thinking big picture. He's got a championship to potentially win. I know he wants to win this race, but shouldn't they be thinking about, all right, let's not even test getting the engine too hot early on in this race?
They know 240 degrees is not too hot. Now, if he gets up to probably 260 or maybe above that, they may look at it. But as long as that engine is around 240, they're fine.
And also, the only thing that can hurt is if the water starts blowing out of the engine. And if the water starts coming out of the cooling system, it goes right onto Ron's windshield. He'll know that. They can make the swap. This is just smart. This is the way you race for a championship. You take what advantage your team has given you, and then you exploit it. And that's exactly what Hornaday's doing.
Again, the Thor Sport trucks running toward the back. Austin Dillon running in the middle of the pack. Currently in the 5th spot behind Ricky Carmichael and James Buescher. But again, out in front, the 2-truck tandem of Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday.
Okay, this package right here of the 29 of Parker Kligerman, the 5 of Todd Bodine has really worked well. Remember, Parker got a penalty on pit road for somebody leaving the pit box too soon to provide service on that truck.
Our leaders have broken apart too, Phil. They went down into turn 1 and came apart for some reason. I don't know if maybe Ron was thinking about that temperature we talked about. Let's see if these guys are getting any better at it. See if Todd can stay right behind Parker. He's not. You can see that. He's wiggling all over the place. That's scary.
We're just moving along up top. Told them we'd swap. I mean, I understand. I just thought our plan was to stay in the back for a while, and that's kind of where I wanted to stay. I don't think we need to be up there trying to pass these guys. We're still learning this deal on the outside of that line.
That's what I love about this sport. We're still learning it. Well, we're learning it on lap 29, or we're learning it on lap 30 of a 94-lap race.
Look at those two. That looks nothing like the Harvick trucks. It looks nothing like Mike Wallace and Hornaday.
And now they've separated, but they're in front of the pack.
Worked good, though, didn't it?
2 1/2 seconds faster than Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday, because they came unhooked, as you said, Michael.
Ray Dunlap.
Parker Kligerman said on the radio, please tell Todd it's okay when he peeks out to the right, but don't let him go to the left side. When his nose went to the left side, he said, my steering wheel was all over the place. Keep him on the right side or the middle of the bumper.
You know, it almost looks like those guys got out front of this big pack, and they're comfortable now not being hooked up. Just a traditional draft. They know Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday will get ahead of them, but hey, they'll come back another time.
Yeah, that's safe there now, and it wasn't safe what they were doing. Golly, I'm glad they decided that, because it was making me nervous.
Out in front, Mike Wallace crosses the stripe. They have a 6-second lead over the pack. It's Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday out front. Parker Kligerman, Todd Bodine, Ricky Carmichael, James Buescher, Austin Dillon, Miguel Paludo, Timothy Peters, Max Pappas. They are your top 10 here in Talladega. Stay with us. More here on Speed. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. By Evan Williams, smooth bourbon, priced right. Spread the word. Brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. And by Toyota. Welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway. You guessed it, still out front, Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. That two-truck tandem now has an 8-second lead over the pack, which is being led now by Parker Kligerman.
Guys, one thing we know now is that we have a couple groups of two that know how to get it done. Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday, and Parker Kligerman and Thabo Bodine are making it happen right now. They have driven away from that big pack by getting hooked up.
Yeah, you'll like this. That's Ron Hornaday just holding his nose out to the right. Very smooth, very steady on the back of his teammate Mike Wallace. These two, different story. A lot of jerking around, a lot of moving around, but they're fast.
Johnny Sauter coming in second in the points, got into the wall, and now we have our next caution out. And in the 88 and the 13, both with damage. They were trying to do the two-truck tandem in the back. It didn't work.
Well, we don't know for sure, but that's what it looks like.
I can't see because of the campers. We got a tore up back in, need to bear a bond.
Wow, if that's the case, trying to figure out the two-truck tandem for a points champion, forced a mistake. But it looked like the left rear tire's blown on that 13 truck, Phil.
Yeah,
Could
I thought maybe
that started it, but
that's what I thought might have been the situation.
Oh,
there's Donnie Neuenberger's truck. Obviously, he's got a lot of damage to the right front corner. They had taken that hood off that came off the truck as he left pit road.
Yeah, he drove a lap without even being able to see and didn't crash.
Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. We're gonna catch this a little bit late.
See, Johnny's already around. He either got turned around.
You see the left rear tire is definitely damaged, and you see the quarter panel is damaged as well. It sure looks like maybe that left rear tire went away.
Well, when they came across the start-finish line the lap before, Sauter was pushing Crafton. So we saw Sauter backwards all of a sudden. It'd be kind of hard to figure out how he could have gotten backwards, but
Matt Crafton, extensive damage to the front of that race truck on the right side.
It might have just been a two-truck tandem gone bad, Phil.
Yeah, we've seen that happen before. If you don't push them square, as we talked about earlier, you start pushing, favoring the left side in the corner. It just wants to push the trucks around.
This is going to be big.
Be interesting to see what Matt or Johnny would have to say about this. Obviously, Matt's pretty much figuring his day is done. We'll probably catch a word with him when he gets to the garage area and to know exactly what went on there.
These two trucks were running 25th and 26th. They had purposely went to the back of the field to try to run this two-truck tandem and work on it, and apparently it did not work. Now the field making their way back onto pit road, led by that 33 of Mike Wallace. Right behind him, the 2 of Ron Hornaday. Hermie.
With the 17 truck of Timothy Peters has been working with his teammate Miguel Paludo for the first part of this race, trying to work with that two-car tandem. They haven't got out on their own yet to try to perfect it. Looks like they may be going for 2 tires on this pit stop to try to get a little bit of track position. But Timothy Peters working well with his teammates so far, Ray.
4 tires for both of the KHI trucks, and Bruce Cook just came on the radio and reminded his guys for Ron Hornaday, make sure the lugs are all good and tight. Our trucks are excellent. We don't have to worry about losing spots. And it looks like the 2 and the 33 will leave pit road together once again.
Great pit work by Danny Stockman's bunch for Austin Dillon. Hermie?
As you can see, Johnny Sauter has come to pit road. Look at all the damage. A lot of damage to the right side, and especially the left front and left rear behind the rear tire of this 13 truck. These guys were running the 2-car tandem all alone, and there you have it. They wrecked both trucks on the racetrack. Very damaging, not only to the racetrack, but to their championship hopes. They got a lot of work to do to this 13 to get it anywhere near competitive. A lot of damage to this truck.
Hermie, did they say anything on the radio as to what may have happened to cause this?
Nothing yet. They just, Johnny Sauter said, we're both tore up. That's all we got from him so far. And hopefully we'll be able to find out exactly what caused this. And that's the flip side of, what can go wrong if you're working with your teammate. You can both go to, finish 1-2, or you can both end up wrecked like the 13 and the 88.
The 88, Matt Crafton climbed out of his race truck and was going to head to the infield care center, but Johnny Sauter trying to stick it out. He made it to pit road, and they are working on that. A championship still within his grasp if he can get that truck back out there and get a decent finish here at Talladega. The big ones happen at Talladega, and so far we haven't seen those big ones. We've seen the 2-truck tandems work between Wallace and Hornaday, but then the 2-truck tandem didn't work for Crafton and Sauter.
It's Camping World's destination recreation.
Hi everybody, it's Ray again. You know, if you've been watching Destination Recreation, hopefully you're aware that Camping World has some great deals on RVs that are available for you to rent. From Class A's to Class C and everything in between. Now you can take some of these items home with you permanently because they have their previously rented RVs on sale for you, the customer. And guess what? Some of these start as low as $29,000. The great part for me is the fact is they're road tested and quality assured. Now, if you come into Camping World and buy one of these previously rented RVs right now, they're going to throw in 1 full year of roadside assistance. That's a great bargain. And if you tell them Ray sent you, they're also going to give you a $250 in-store credit.
Great deal from Ray Dunlap at Camping World. This is one of the greatest venues for camping in all of racing. When we travel to Talladega, you've got campers for miles around this track.
They're everywhere. Yeah, you can see them right there outside the racetrack, inside the racetrack. What a great venue for our sponsor.
You know, this could be another chance for this team to avoid adversity. They're facing adversity, and we've seen them all year long rebound. They've been under the hood, raising the truck up. Remember what happened to them at Pocono? Hit the wall, qualified, came back top 5. This is another chance. That truck's not totaled out by any stretch. Maybe they can rebound, Rick.
13 trying to get back out on the racetrack. This is the 3rd caution here in Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. The trucks all in line once again. 2 cautions have slowed the pace down here in Talladega. Now out in front, Austin Dillon and Ricky Carmichael 2 by 2. BJ McLeod gets the Aaron's lucky dog, gets a lap back as they're coming through the tri-oval. Green flag back in the air.
See how quickly that the 33 of Mike Wallace and the 2 of Ron Hornaday can get hooked back up.
Let's give a shout out to Johanna Long too. She's up there inside the top 5, made her way, qualified inside the top 10, has made her way right to the front. That's impressive for her.
Jason White restarted this race in the 3rd spot. He was running just outside the top 10. A little pit strategy got him up front.
Remember early in the going down in Daytona, Johanna had a strong run, qualified well down there and held it up there inside the top 10 for quite a while. But here comes 2 guys that got the tandem truck draft figured out.
Looked like the 5 of Taboudin wanted to get up against the back of James Bush in the 31. They couldn't quite do it. But watch this 2-truck tandem on the outside. Go for the lead.
Mike Wallace out in front. Ron Hornaday just behind him. They will move past Austin Dillon as well as Jason White up to the front of the field, go through the tri-oval, and they'll lead once again at Talladega.
Man, as a racer, you can't hardly stand to see that, Phil. You see what they're doing. You know what they're doing. Why not do it myself right now? But you have to show some patience at times. You have to understand the big picture. Austin Dillon racing for a championship. He doesn't know exactly how White's front end will match up to his back end. So that would be risky. But as time ticks away, we get closer and closer to the finish. You're going to have to start taking some chances.
And remember, it's not that these guys didn't have any warning that this was going to happen. We've seen this type of racing for the last years, so they had to know that this is the direction it was going to go.
Just to explain, the 2nd caution that came out involved the ThorSport Racing, but we didn't have an actual shot of the trucks involved in hitting the wall. But via Twitter, ThorSport Racing has announced that from what they hear, the 16 truck blew a tire in front of him. Crafton, who drove it, Sauter into the fence, and now they're working on that 13, trying to get him back out there.
16 trucks, Donnie Neuenberger. He'd had some troubles earlier in the races with his hood flying off. Blows a right front tire. You know, Crafton gets out of the gas and Sauter can't see what's happening. It's going to cause a crash.
And let's find out from one of the players that was involved. Matt Crafton is now with Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, we appreciate Matt Crafton spending some time with us. Tough break for you guys. Tell us what happened on the racetrack. We understand maybe there's another truck involved in you in the 13.
The 16 blew a right front tire, and he got us at Daytona, and it looked like he got us again this weekend. It wasn't something that he did wrong. He popped the right front tire this weekend. And he's part of this tandem racing, and I saw him blow the tire, and they say teammate can't really see at that point pushing me. And I started to roll out of the gas just a little bit, and it just turned me around, and there's nothing I can do. Just along for the ride. It's a shame because, I mean, this Norwich Chevy was really, really good. I mean, we just fell to the back, and we were actually running that pack down. I mean, we were actually running faster than leaders were at that point. Just trying to be there at the end and came a whole short.
It just goes to show you there's really no avoiding all the potential trouble at a place like Talladega.
Thanks, Hermie. We're seeing on the right side of the stream, we had a very tight shot of the back of the 29 truck that Todd Bodine is pushing. He's pushed the bumper off of the back of that truck.
Yeah, they don't, like we said, they don't match up right. The trucks are all over each other. It's finally broken the bumper cover away from Kligerman's truck. Todd's moving around a lot, dodging around, and I think that's broke the back of that truck. They've joined the leaders, Phil. They've caught Wallace and Hornaday, and they will run faster than those two.
Oh, they just came unhooked.
You see that break apart? That's because Kligerman's truck smelt the draft off of the Wallace and Hornaday trucks. He sped up, and Todd just couldn't stay glued to him, so they'll back off. That's what Kligerman did there. Tie back together and go after him again. A couple of trucks right behind these two is James Busher and Brendan Gaughan. They began the two-truck tandem as well. So that's what happens. These guys get it figured out, and then the big pack, that fell apart, it all comes back together, just two trucks at a time.
Michael, you're better at this type of racing than probably any other driver, and a lot of people don't realize that in this situation, you have to drag the brake to make, if you're in front, to make sure you stay connected with two trucks staying together.
Well, there's different ways to do it. Todd Bodine says he actually just runs about half throttle if he's in front. Brendan Gaughan said he drags the brake to do it. You have to achieve the same kind of thing, and it looks like Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday have really figured out how to do it. But you see Parker Kligerman, Todd Bodine, they just can't quite keep those trucks together.
Well, and that's because, like I said, Phil, Kligerman truck is getting a draft off of the two Harvick trucks.
Pulling them away from Todd.
Pulling them up there, and Todd's not able to keep up with them. So the wise thing to do for Kligerman was just to back off the gas. Oh, we got a little bit of a crowd there. You could see Jason White.
They're working their way through the high banks here. 4 wide on the outside. That's Josh Richards and Kyle Busch up top.
You can see what's happening there with Kyle. He's got a hold of his teammate, Josh, and he's shoving him to the front.
And watch this now. These guys would ideally want to go straight down the straightaway, not vary 1 inch. And you see these trucks moving around. That's because that back truck is pushing that truck all over the racetrack.
Staying up high. Pretty big bump there as they going through 3 and 4.
Because even if, say, Kligerman was half throttle, Phil, and he had the truck behind him pushing him, Todd Bodine, they're still going to go faster than if Kligerman's wide open and they pull apart. So the front truck has a responsibility to just run fast enough to make sure those trucks stay tied together.
The halfway point at Talladega.
Oh,
47 are complete.
It's getting tight.
We've got more pack.
See more people trying the two-truck tandem. You see up there, obviously, Kyle Busch, Josh Richards. We saw James Busher trying it with a quasi-teammate.
Yeah, and I think Jason White's got a hold of Austin Dillon now, pushing.
Still out in front is Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. Two trucks that have tried to catch them but have not been able to get right up to their bumper or get by have been Parker Kligerman and Todd Bodine. Those two are working it now. James Busher just in front of Brendan Gaughan. So the 31 and 62 are hooking up now and seeing if they can move closer to the two. Oh, and problems. Kligerman goes around. Bodine right behind him. So problems with the two truck again.
Look at Blake Fees. He's going to clobber something.
Blake Fees able to keep it off the racetrack.
Well, it was a matter of time the way those two trucks were bobbling around.
That was the tandem racing gone bad. I was just thinking, it sure looks like Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday looked the best doing it. Everyone else has really looked like they were out of shape.
10 times better than the rest. But this, you said this is disaster. Well, actually, he avoided disaster. Kligerman went for that big spin. They were far enough ahead of the pack itself not to collect other trucks. They'll live to tell it again. But I'm telling you, Phil, if I'm Parker Kligerman, the way he's having to drive that truck, I'd say, Todd, go pick you somebody else. Go pick somebody else, and I'll find me somebody new.
Again, the 29 running third.
See him high?
See how high he is there?
What's he doing there?
Bodine turned him. Caught him and turned him from the
Well, we're watching
outside.
in slow motion, so it happened a lot faster than that.
Those two were running together. It looked as though Bodine went to the high side. Kligerman stayed down low. Take another look.
What's he doing? He's all the way up beside him, and he just turns him.
Maybe they were going to do the switch right there, Michael, and the air just sucked Todd back into Parker Kligerman's truck. He was so far to the outside, it looked like possibly that they were going to do the switch right then and there, but then sometimes the air will bring those trucks back together, and it caught Parker Kligerman's quarter panel.
The pack right behind him. Kligerman able to stay off of the wall. This is Todd Bodine.
You heard Todd was off the throttle before he actually spun Parker.
32 of Blake Feast.
Watch Blake Feast. Somebody gets him from behind.
Is that Johanna Long in the 20? It is Johanna Long in the 20. Got in the back of Blake Feast. The rear wheels came off the ground there. Fortunately, that truck came back down. I did not see the roof flap deploy on that truck.
This stuff ain't easy, y'all.
Take a look at the front two. These two were running third and fourth.
Very fortunate for both those trucks that they'll live to roll again. Some tires on Parker's truck. They come battle back. Todd Bodine's our defending champion. He knows how to drive a truck, but we just haven't liked the way those two trucks have looked together since they started doing this, and finally it got out of control.
And it may be just because of the Dodge and the Toyota combination rear bumper front end.
Well, it's got to be something like that, because those two Chevys of Harvick's are going dead straight. We've already seen Todd Bodine tear the back bumper off Parker's truck, so they just don't, something there isn't right.
You said it earlier, I called it Teflon tape, but that is on the two KHI trucks. We're not sure if it's on the slippery tape.
Yeah.
We're not sure if it was on the 30 and the 29. And we know the 29, the bumper bar had gone away. Let's go to pit road. Herbie Sadler.
Well, Brendan Gaughan's had a pretty good day so far. They're going for track position. Sunoco fuel only for Brendan Gaughan on this pit stop, hoping to keep this track position and stay up front. Ray?
This will be fuel only also for KHI, but watch as they clean the grill. Hornaday said his water temperature was going up more than expected. They'll clean that off. They get a tear off, and he once again will roll out the pits right behind the 33.
Those two working very well together on the racetrack. Buescher making up 3 spots on pit road. So Todd Bodine involved in this most recent incident with Parker Kligerman. There's the back end of the 29. Crew going to work on that race truck. More of the Coca Cola 250 here on Speed. Tonight it's World Series Game 3 in Arlington, Texas. The Rangers continue their quest for their first championship in franchise history, while the Cardinals, they're looking for their 11th World Series title. Legends are born in October. Game 3 of the World Series between the Cardinals and Rangers begins tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
The Tigers are going to be in that World Series.
Missed it by that much.
Kenny Wallace sure is happy that worked out.
Cardinal fan, Kenny Wallace.
Aaron's lucky dog going to Cole Witt. They've had some issues at the start of this race, and so trying to get some laps back. So Cole Witt will be 1 lap down when we go back to green flag racing. Stay with us, more from Talladega. Monday Night NASCAR Race Hub delivers the ultimate recap from Talladega. Hear from the drivers chasing the championship and get all of the latest breaking news in the world of NASCAR. Don't miss NASCAR Race Hub Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. Bump drafting has been the story of this race up to this point, and it's been trucks that have not been doing it properly up to this point, with the exception of the top 2.
Yeah, these guys right here have done it from the first lap on. This has not been quite as sanitary. Watch, you're going to see Parker Kligerman just all over the racetrack here, while these two guys look like they've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, and you said about these two, look at this move. Brendan's getting a hold of the back of Todd there, and Todd's on Kligerman. See him go sideways? That's not good at the 190 miles an hour. And he's been so aggressive, he tore his bumper off.
And then it gets worse right here. He makes contact with Parker Kligerman, turns him around. We're getting reports that something may be wrong with the engine on the 29 after that spin. These engines don't like to spin like that.
Yeah, you turn your engine around backwards, it'll blow it up, and it might have happened to Kligerman's dive.
Take a look at our race recap after 53 of the scheduled 94 laps. Buescher out in front. We've had 9 different drivers and 14 lead changes. Our average speed just over 130 miles per hour. 3 times we've been slowed down because of problems on the racetrack. Let's go back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, guys, we're getting to that point where if you're going to bump draft, you may want to try it to see if it'll work towards the end of this race, and I think that's what's about to happen with the 23 and the 4. Jason White just came on and said, please tell Ricky, get up there, give me a push, let's see what we've got. So a little bit of experimentation coming your way here, I think, after we get this restart.
We knew it was coming, didn't we, Phil?
Yeah. I'm not sure you can win this race without getting in a two-truck tandem. Can you?
I'm sure you can't win it unless you know how to do that. That's exactly what it's going to take. We saw Kevin Harvick's truck, Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday drive out to an 8-second lead. Well, the next restart, here comes Bodine and Kligerman. They didn't get out to that lead. Those trucks kept right up with them. It'll just continue to grow and grow. But we saw a mistake in the two-truck tandem twice. Once with a truck blowing a tire, messing up the Thor Sport trucks, and then that time right in the trial oval, Tom Bodine gets into Parker Kligerman and spins him around. So it's just going to get worse, I'm afraid, bud.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Don't turn your channel or nothing.
We will have 40 laps of bumper-to-bumper action when they come back by the start-finish line. On the inside, James Buescher. Outside, Mike Wallace. Green flag in the air.
The important thing is Ron Hornaday is right behind Mike Wallace as they come up through the gears.
Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday. Early on the restart, those two nose to tail, they're connected, and they will start to pull away from the pack once again.
It's going to be no competition. They're going to have a huge lead unless these two trucks on the inside get hooked up.
But Phil, you can't stand it as a race car driver. You say, come on now, we got to try this. They can't just drive off from us like that, and that's what pushes people into doing things maybe they're not comfortable with doing, but they know they have to do if they want to win. That's why they're all here to win.
Looking on the outside of the racetrack, you have Josh Richards. Maybe Josh, with his limited experience, isn't that comfortable doing it, but he has his truck owner and teammate Kyle Busch right behind him, and he's going to have to do it.
I don't believe I'd tell Kyle I don't want you pushing me. Kyle, so that's my truck. I'll push it anywhere I want.
Trying to use that truck to move toward the front. They are taking that third line, the outside line. Falling back just a bit from the middle two lines. On the bottom, it's James Buescher. Right in the middle, Austin Dillon. And then on the high side, Josh Richards in front of Kyle Busch.
We got the green flag on a restart. Those two trucks got hooked up. They came around in one lap and had a second-and-a-half lead.
Yeah, look, they're 3 wide behind them. You know what's interesting, Phil? I found it harder to be getting pushed because of what we saw with Parker Kligerman. His truck was all over the place. Tom Bodine just wide open pushing him. That's not that difficult. I think it's interesting that Kyle Busch has elected to push his teammate with all the experience Kyle has. Pushing Josh, it seems like maybe Josh's job's a little harder, but being able to see that rookie, being able to see what's ahead of him, Kyle might think that's more important, because when you're stuffed up behind another truck, man, you got to have quick reactions if something goes wrong so you don't spin them around when they all slow down.
And you may wonder why Ron Hornaday is not leading that two-truck tandem and getting the bonus points for leading and bonus points for the most laps led. Well, to me, you're more vulnerable in the front. Ron Hornaday's the guy trying to win a championship. I think it's safer back there where he is.
Well, that's the point with Josh and Kyle. It's safer where Kyle is, and Kyle's pushing the heck out of Josh. But Josh is learning a lot right now. That's for darn sure. Running up there in that third spot, heading toward the front.
The last time by, Wallace and Hornaday just set the fastest lap times of the entire race, both below 50 seconds for one lap around this 2.66 mile racetrack.
That's getting with it in a truck, isn't it, Rick?
Over 190 miles an hour around this racetrack.
Another thing, Phil, we'll just put a period on this. If you're more experienced and you're better at pushing, you can make that guy in front's ride calmer. You know, we saw Tom Bodine kind of moving around a lot on Kligerman. You don't see Kyle Busch doing that, nor do you see Ron Hornaday doing that. They're sitting there pretty steady.
Moving good out front.
Austin Dillon on the bottom of the racetrack leading the pack. But again, out in front, Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday, Josh Richards, and Kyle Busch. Those two truck tandems have pulled away from this pack.
You know, I talked to a lot of NASCAR fans, and they're like, we like the pack racing better than the two truck tandem. And I talked to some that like the two trucks better than the pack. Well, we're offering both here today.
We'll give you both.
We've got a couple of two truck tandems, and we got a big old pack of trucks, and we're having action no matter where the trucks are.
It's a 2-for-1 deal here on Speed today. Ray Dunlap.
I just want to add on exactly what you were talking about those front two trucks. Yesterday we saw Hornaday behind Mike Wallace as they practiced, and they wanted to do it that way just for exactly what you said. Hornaday feels more stable there and less likely to get into trouble. And I asked him, what about leading the most laps? He said, well, look, if Mike Wallace leads the most laps during this race, that means that none of my competitors did, so it's just a wash.
That's a good point, too. And you know, you talk about that fast lap they ran, Rick, just a few moments ago at a 49.60. That is, 15 miles an hour. You see Ron Hornaday moving around there.
Smoke coming out of this truck.
Is that Jamie Dick, the 02?
Yeah, the 02. Looks like he has some front end damage, Phil. He might have overheated that truck.
Coming to you.
Or knocked some water out of the motor and blew it up.
So the fourth caution comes out from Talladega after we've completed 59 laps.
Fellas.
This time it's Jamie Dick in the 02 bringing the caution out.
What I started to say, that lap that they ran at 49.60 something was 192. 15 miles an hour faster than the pole.
Two-truck tandem between Wallace and Hornaday. It's working. A couple others still trying it. We'll see how it works for them in the later sections of this race. Welcome back. 22nd race of a 25 race season. It's the Coca Cola 250 from Talladega Super Speedway. And we're getting close to that window of opportunity that they can make it to the end of this race if they would come to pit road one more time and fill these things full of Sunoco fuel. And it looks as though pit road closed, so they won't come this time.
The truck of Jamie Dick's down on pit road, maybe smoking some fluid down there, and so they're seeing pulling them out of the way there, so they didn't want those trucks coming to pit road.
Well, tomorrow, immediately following the Cup race from Talladega, turn to speed for NASCAR Victory Lane. The expanded post-race coverage you can't get anywhere else. Watch NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco, at its new time, immediately following the Cup race right here on Speed.
I think it's pretty incredible. You'll have the race winner, race winning crew chief, car owner, everybody right there on Victory Lane.
They have pulled the 02 of Jamie Dick behind the wall. They will open up pit road. We'll take a quick break and watch what happens when we come back. Welcome back to Talladega, Alabama. A gorgeous day for racing if you've been able to figure out how to do the two-truck tandem. And we've seen it out of Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. Everyone else is still scratching their heads of how are they doing it.
It's a gorgeous day anyway. I mean, let's make sure people know that. And it's going to be a gorgeous day tomorrow. If you're in the area and you want to see some great racing, come on out here to the Speedway and see these guys go around here at 200 miles an hour. You being one of those, Michael.
I cannot wait. It's a blast.
Looks as though pit road is open, and here they come. Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday leading the field onto pit road. Hermie Sadler.
Well, Rick, one of the drivers is Josh Richards. He has been going to school today on this two-truck tandem with his teammate Kyle Busch. He's getting no tires, Sunoco fuel only, and a track bar adjustment. He's a little bit free when Kyle pushes him into the corners. Ray?
Hermie, these Goodyear tires are very hard, and many of the teams believe they can go the distance on what they've got here. Ron Hornaday will get fuel only. He'll go out right with Mike Wallace. Hornaday ahead of him on pits right now. We saw a number of other guys down here getting fuel only. Everyone with plenty of tires left in the pits if they would choose to get them later on.
See, James Busher wins the battle off pit road by virtue of that first spot. You see the 51 right there, Josh Richards. He made a little contact as he was exiting the pits. I believe with the 93 truck of B.J. McLeod. Watch this now. That's a 76 truck of Ryan Hackett. Josh was ready to go, and Ryan was trying to get stopped in his pits.
Hey, Phil, you know, we've seen these two trucks of Kevin Harvick up front all day long. We come to pit road. They both get a little gas and pull out. But watch the positioning they do to ensure that they're first and third or second and fourth. Here they come. You see, one of them slows down. The other one, Hornaday slows down. Wallace takes him, and then Hornaday slow down enough where Kyle Busch can get around him.
They want to be nose to tail.
They're nose to tail. It isn't just coincidental. They figured it out, how to make sure one truck's in front of the other. And then, by the way, I don't want to be right behind you. I need to be one more behind you. So these teams, this Harvick bunch has really thought this thing out, and they're making every move perfectly.
Eric's lucky dog goes to the 60 of Cole Witt. So Witt will get another lap back. That'll put him on the lead lap here in Talladega. We will have 26 trucks on the lead lap. Busher still your leader.
Week, the Camping World Series heads to the half-mile paperclip called Martinsville Speedway for its second trip of the season. Last April, Johnny Sauter went home with the grandfather clock, but now the championship race is ticking down. And it's time for some drivers to make some moves. Who will make the most of their time in Martinsville? Tune in to find out. Chris Voda hosts the setup starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.
And welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway as the field 2x2 once again getting ready for the restart. Our Just for Men hair color, Live Forward.
Going to have a little bit of an interloper in here next week at Martinsville. Denny Hamlin will drive the 18 truck of Kyle Busch Motorsports at Martinsville.
Yeah, and last year's winner, Ron Hornaday, is going to try to continue this amazing streak he's on, the amazing run he's making toward this championship. We saw him hop on a streak like this a couple years ago, Phil, win 5 in a row. That distanced himself and made him the champion of 2009. Can he pull it off again this year? It's getting tight. I like that word, tight.
Just for Men hair color, Live Forward. That's Martinsville. You would think that after Talladega you'd want to be able to catch your breath, but nope, the paperclip of Martinsville coming up next. And now the green flag about to come back out. 30 laps of racing to go. Green flag is in the air. Buescher on the inside, Dillon on the outside. Look at that two-truck tandem just behind James Buescher. Hornaday just behind the 33 of Mike Wallace. Let's see if they're able to get by the 31 of James Buescher if he stays on the bottom. And those two have to run the conventional style around this Talladega Super Speedway.
Yeah, right now they're blocked in, and if I'm Wallace, I want to lay off of Buescher enough to where Ron can get a hold of me and hopefully shoot up the middle. But you can see Austin Dillon pulling over and closing that door.
2x2, Max Pappas looking at the inside now. It's Austin Dillon out in front. Kyle Busch has jumped in behind him.
We talked about Austin Dillon not getting this two-truck tandem worked out. Kyle Busch will work it out for him.
He'll work it out for him.
All Austin has to do is hold it straight, and Kyle will push him right along. This is getting good. Got a bunch of different people trying the two-truck tandem. We can't seem to get the 2 and the 33 back together. You can see Hornaday and Mike Wallace running back 7th or 8th in line now.
Top Bodine gets with his teammate, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. They're hooked up or trying to get hooked up just above the 33 and the 2.
Remember the rule in NASCAR, you cannot change lanes until you get to the start-finish line. The 7 of Miguel Paludo has been posted. He will have to do a pass-through penalty on pit road because he changed lanes before he got to the start-finish line.
They got him hooked up, Phil.
Yep, they have some room in the middle, don't they?
Is there room for him?
I believe there's room for him. There they go.
Here comes Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday once again.
You look right behind him. Todd Bodine has a hold of his teammate Brendan Gaughan now.
How about Max Pappas doing a great job in that Geico Toyota, running 3rd right now, but he's got a couple tandems coming to his outside.
Pappas' best finish of 2011 was 10th at Martinsville earlier this year. Hermie.
Yeah, guys, went up and down pit road here, and most everybody says they can make it on fuel at least to the last lap. Maybe not a green right checker, but the 2 Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks, Josh Richards and Kyle Busch, both their trucks are 1 lap and 1/2 short. A lap and a half short. We'll have to see if they can stretch it to the end if it goes green.
Yeah, and it's hard to save gas when you're pushing another truck, Phil. So Kyle Busch, his situation right there is going to be tough to save any. If you're the front truck, you can feather out of the gas and save a little bit of fuel. But if you're pushing, you're committed.
Yeah, it looks like Austin, more than likely where he is right now, is saving a little fuel, as well as the 33 of Mike Wallace.
How disheartening would that be if you're Austin Dillon, where you've got Kyle Busch behind you and you think, okay, hey, this is going to be the 2-truck tandem. I think we're going to be able to go to the front. And flying by on the outside is Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. There's Miguel Paludo coming on to pit road to serve that penalty of changing lanes before he got to the start-finish line.
Remember, the 33 and the 2 have done this in the entire race. Austin right now is just really getting started to do it. He has one of the very best guys in the business behind him, going to help him learn.
Todd Bodine, we're riding along with him, looking forward to his teammate. And that's South Point 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
Those 2 trucks had it going on, Rick. They had driven all the way up to the front, but now their 2-truck tandem has fallen apart.
They separated once again. They're the only ones running the outside line here of this pack.
Getting down to it. 26 to go this time by. And
the 3 and the 18 came unhooked there for just a moment. That'll cost them a lot of ground.
Todd Bodine back to the bumper of that 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Watch how much movement you see between this tandem, and then when we watch Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday, very little movement, but these two moving around quite a bit on the racetrack.
Look at your passing people. You'll sacrifice a little bit of movement if you're making progress like that.
Lanes clear up front.
And quite honestly, right now,
Nothing out front. Everything's on the bottom.
Brendan may not know any difference. He said, well, maybe this is how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
I haven't had a good tandem that it didn't move me around.
Nothing out front of him. It's all clear up there.
So it's working right now for Brendan Gaughan and Todd Bodine. They've made it through the tri-oval, back to the stripe. Heading into turn number 1, Carmichael and Buescher, those two hooked up. They made an extremely fast lap.
Listen to the throttle, Rick. I told you don't save any gas when you're pushing. You're hearing me.
Ooh. They had to separate right there. Brendan Gaughan really out of shape.
Really loose there. Fortunately, Todd got off him just enough to let him get it straightened out.
You know, I like this truck of Grant Enfinger. He's been fast all day, right up the middle of things. Looks like maybe that Dakota Armstrong is trying to get a hold of the back of him. These two really are pretty sure they don't know what they're doing, and maybe they can do it together.
And they were former ARCA winners here, so they have some experience racing together at this racetrack.
They know the draft. They just don't know the pushing part of it. And I like this. I like these two trying to figure it out. Maybe they can get it going on. We saw Chris Fontaine at Daytona drive all the way to the front, taking advantage of a push from Kyle Busch. There's no reason why Dakota and Grant can't figure this out, and man, they're doing it.
Now we're starting to see more trucks go 2 by 2 around the racetrack.
Yeah, look who's coming to join the party battle for the lead. Kyle and Austin, like you said, Phil, got a few laps under his belt now. They've put some ground on, or gained some ground on our leaders.
Going to the high side. It's still the 33 of Mike Wallace, just in front of Hornaday.
In fact, that two-truck tandem there running 3rd and 4th ran the fastest lap of the race last time by.
49.350 seconds.
We're getting up around 190.
195.
Yeah. In a truck. I just can't get over that.
And remember, the pole was 177.
Uh-oh.
Still right with you. He still got you.
A while back there for 3rd and 4th.
Come on, got a little momentum here.
Now they've got the momentum. We just heard Andy Houston say, you've got the momentum. To the outside, this is the race for the lead. Wallace on the inside with Hornaday pushing. Austin Dillon on the outside, Kyle Busch pushing.
This is like that chicken and the egg thing. One of them is committed. I don't know how that goes, but this is a major deal for the guy running in the lead. No matter what he sees, he can't report the word. He can't report the word back to the guy behind him fast enough. You know, if something goes wrong, he can't get that button pushed and tell him what's wrong quick enough.
And right now, Kyle Busch has to rely on Austin Dillon and Austin Dillon's spotter to let them know where that other group is in front of them.
And then the pack behind them. So the top 4 have separated themselves, and the pack working behind. As you see the slower truck on the inside of Miguel Paludo. Almost a pick for Mike Wallace as they saw the 3 of Austin Dillon coming up to the inside.
You know, we saw this. This is pretty interesting tandem. Kyle Busch helping Richard Childress' truck. There was a point in time this summer when
that didn't go so well.
Papa decided he would explain Kyle he didn't race properly.
Remember, when you get on this racetrack right here, you find whoever is willing to work with you and whoever's going to help your situation.
Is that second tandem there a perfect example of that?
Absolutely perfect. Strange bedfellows sometimes this kind of racing makes.
They've caught them, but they just can't figure out how to make the move around them. And you know, we see the 3 truck of Austin Dillon moving around a lot. That's dangerous when you get up beside another truck and they start moving around. You don't have as much margin for error.
This is the closest they've been to the lead on the outside. The 3 and the 18 trying to make the push around the 33 and 2. Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch just can't make it work. Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday stay in the top 2 spots.
And sometimes when you have air from another truck like that, it'll cause you to become on hook too.
Yeah, and you really want to try to side draft a little bit, Phil. You saw when they got to the corner, Austin went really high and they lost ground on him. If Austin could be comfortable with hanging his left front fender right on the side of Hornaday's truck, then that will give them the momentum, the side draft that they need. But see how far they go away?
Are those teammates on the left?
The drivers are working together on the right, and the crew chiefs are working together on the left. Two opposing crew chiefs sitting on the same pit box right now.
That was Eric Phillips on the left talking to Danny Stockman here on Danny Stockman's pit box.
How about that? That's something you definitely don't see.
We'll work on passing them later. My temp's getting too hot chasing his ass.
There you go.
Okay,
so you just
message delivered right now.
Talking about we can't pass him.
Well, the issue is, like I said, if Kyle could just stay over to the left, or excuse me, if Austin could stay over to the left a little bit. Oh, they came apart. The leaders came apart. That's going to give Austin Dillon the lead and a valuable championship point.
All around clear.
And by a good bit, too, it may take a while for them to get hooked back up and regain that momentum for Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday.
Mike Wallace has led 42 of the 75 laps complete. He will have the most laps led in this race. But who will get to victory lane first? That's the big question that's going to be answered right here on Speed. Welcome back. The Coca Cola 250 continues here on Speed. And out front once again, it's Mike Wallace with Ron Hornaday pushing from behind. And now we have Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch again trying to challenge for the lead.
What about my man Grant Enfinger? He's coming. He's up on the outside.
Got a little push from Todd Bodine.
And there's Johnny Sauter, Phil. We talked about there wasn't a lot of damage to that truck. He's pushing Brendan Gaughan, running really fast laps. He's not in a position right now to be. Yes, he's gotten around Wes Burton. He is in a position to be the Aaron's lucky dog. So remember we talked about how they recover? Man, if he recovers from a crash at Talladega and gets back in this thing.
And obviously has a pretty fast truck. Watch him out there.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy.
Very close. Look who's behind him, Todd Bodine. As they went through the trial, a very close call for the 82 of Grant Enfinger.
Oh, no. This is going to be 3 wide, and it's not going to work out well.
They don't have a lot of room here. Another battle for the lead. Here comes Austin Dillon with a push from Kyle Busch. Let's see if anybody comes unhooked in this situation.
And remember, Kyle Busch was involved in our first incident where he had a little bit of damage to the left front. You see the tape on the left side of that truck.
That's the battle for the lead, and this is what we think could turn bad. We see Enfinger. Oh, I've done this before, Phil. It makes me really nervous.
Right up to the top of the racetrack. Not a whole lot of margin for error up there for Grant Enfinger.
Now to the bottom goes the 5 of Bodine, or at least to the inside of that 82 of Grant Enfinger.
You know, we watched him push Parker Kligerman, Todd Bodine, a whole lot the same way, and it didn't end well for Parker. You could see Todd on the outside, but see that point there.
Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch just separated once again, and that put the 33 and the 2 way out in front of him.
Now this is an experience on Enfinger's part. He needs to get on the brakes right away and get Todd back to him as soon as he can if he wants to go fast. Now if he wants to survive, that might not be the best idea.
But he could be going fast.
It's risky.
Very risky. A lot of fluid from up in front of this 30. We're seeing it on our camera.
Yeah, more than likely somebody's overheating because of being tucked in behind somebody.
Maybe Johnny Sauter.
Could be possibly Johnny Sauter, as we have a side-by-side two-way battle for the lead.
How can you not like this two-truck racing? I mean, we got battles all over the place.
Austin Dillon couldn't quite clear Mike Wallace, so Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch still back in the 3rd and 4th spot. Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday running first, second. You're seeing the 2 move out to the outside of that 33, trying to get some air into the radiator of that truck.
You know, these guys have been hooked up this way the entire race, so obviously KHI did their homework with the cooling system because Ron Hornaday has been able to push that 33 of Mike Wallace this entire race.
Yeah, and they've thought of every detail, from the way they exit pit road to the way they push each other. They haven't varied from their strategy. This is awesome to see somebody have a plan that is so buttoned up.
Ray, it seems like this plan is working very well for the 2 and the 33.
And what they've learned, guys, so far is that they've got to be at the bottom of the racetrack, because if they force that 3 and 18 to the high side, they don't believe they're good enough together to make that pass. But if they were able to get to the inside of them, especially in the tri-oval, they might be able to pull it off. But right now, the bottom seems to be the fastest for the 2 KHI trucks.
What you got? Still there.
Right
Still
now,
inside.
the 3 and 18 are up beside the 33 and 2 as they work their way into 3 and 4.
That's a perfect shot that the bumpers don't match up at all. You see, it's the grill of the 2 truck of Ron Hornaday that's pushing the rear bumper of Mike Wallace's truck.
And the back 2 trucks, Phil, if Austin Dillon could get over there and get his left front fender on the quarter panel of Ron Hornaday, he could pull those trucks apart. He could put enough aero drag on the back truck to separate them two and maybe drive around them. That's what Austin needs to be playing with right now, trying to figure out how to manipulate the truck of Ron Hornaday to possibly pull them apart. He can use that information that comes to the last few laps.
And that truck may be moving around, Michael, that he's not comfortable getting that close. And we know they have somewhat of a teammate relationship with that 2 truck. Even though they're battling for a championship, that's KHI RCR together as they go for the lead.
Still there.
You can see, though, Austin stayed down there closer to the 30. Oh, 33's off the road.
33 wild just in front of the 2. That will give up the lead to Austin Dillon. And Kyle Busch moves up to second. So it's Dillon and Busch running 1 and 2 at Talladega.
Mike Wallace got pushed down on the apron.
Chris Fontaine in the 84 is going to slam into the inside wall.
He's already made contact with the outside wall. Looks like Johnny Sauter right now. Caution flag is out. Johnny Sauter will get our Aaron's lucky dog and be back in contention for a decent finish.
Holy cow, what a job by Joe Shear. All that team down on pit road. They fixed that truck, and now he's going to have a chance to win the race.
He scored, or was scored in the 23rd spot, one lap down.
Didn't mean to wreck you.
When the caution came out. Chris Fontaine in the 84.
Our scoring monitor showing Miguel Paludo in front of Johnny Sauter. If Miguel Paludo passed him just prior to that, then Miguel Paludo would be in position to get Aaron's lucky dog. So we'll have to wait for NASCAR. We're hearing now that just at the very last instant, Miguel Paludo was able to get in front of Johnny Sauter, and it will be him, the 7, that gets the lucky dog, not Johnny Sauter.
I'm going to guess there probably is going to be another chance for Johnny Sauter to get an Aaron's lucky dog.
Did you see the front? Well, it was the grill of the 2. It's not the front bumper. It's the grill is where they're wearing away that tape that they put on the front of that truck, hoping that they would not stick together.
And that tape, when it gets boogered up like that, it becomes more abrasive and more sticky. And that's probably causing what we're seeing now, those trucks starting to move around a little bit.
And let's don't minimize the fact that Chris Fontaine has made some pretty significant contact with the outside wall and inside wall.
See if we can figure out how these two. You can see Hornaday's way out on Mike Wallace, but down in the center of the corner, Wallace gets sideways.
Sideways right there, because the 3 and the 18 were closer to them. That was probably closer than they'd been the entire time.
And it worked. It worked for Austin to get the lead. It didn't work so good for the 33. God, he almost crashed that truck.
And Ron Hornaday had to be on his toes too and back off him and let him get it straightened out.
But you can see how Ron moved from. Well, he was
pretty square when he
right
got
there
sideways.
when it happened.
This is the 84 of Chris Fontaine. There he makes pretty substantial contact with the inside safer barrier. Those are safer barriers on the inside of the racetrack here because of the speeds we've been talking about. 195 miles an hour on this track.
Phil, you and I both hit that wall down there when it was concrete, and it just makes me want to hug NASCAR for installing those barriers everywhere around the circuit, because when we come to Talladega, there's no way anyone can predict all the different places we can crash at.
We found just about everyone.
Safety crews working on the 84 truck. They will get that back to pit road and behind the wall and in the garage. And Chris Fontaine will make a trip to the infield care center to be checked out.
This will be an opportunity for these guys to save a little fuel on this caution flag, give them a little cushion.
Back for the restart in just a few moments. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam RV Club. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By Just for Men Hair Color, look forward. And by Ram Trucks, designed, tested, and proven to be the best trucks we've ever built. Ram.
Guys, we're going to have some More strategy here now for this restart. Michael, remember Daytona, how you worked with Elliott Sadler and you had to physically get with him on that last restart.
Yeah, I told him, I said, I'm going to start on the low side and let you have the lead, Elliott. I felt weird. A 1-2 lap dash, and I'm going to give up the lead. Just let some guy pass me. But we're hearing the same things. Austin Dillon has chosen the high side. I believe that means Kyle Busch won't get a good start. Austin will pull over, ever how they work it out. But that's what's going to start happening. We're going to manipulate these restarts with guys switching lanes and letting each other in. It's going to get tense.
Ray Dunlap.
Kevin Harvick has been on the radio explaining that exact situation, saying they will probably get to the bottom. The 2 KHI trucks should go to the top. Hornaday must square up on that back bumper, and they have now raised that water temperature limit for Ron Hornaday all the way to 280. He said in this short amount of time, get what you can get, but you'll have to be square to be fast enough to beat them. Hermie?
Well, Ray, Michael Waltrip was just talking about the finish at Daytona. Well, ironically enough, Kyle Busch has been on the radio coaching Austin Dillon, or telling him, his team, to tell his crew chief where he needs to go. He told Austin Dillon to take the top side of the racetrack, and once they cross the start-finish line, he can pull down in front of the 18, and they'll go and try to settle it among themselves at the end. But kind of funny that Kyle Busch is telling Austin Dillon where to go here, but we'll see how it works out.
Working together to see if one of the two can get to victory lane. Well, we know it's going to be a close finish. Just how close will it be? A year ago here, the closest ever finish in Truck Series history since they've implemented electronic scoring. It's been amazing.
And Kyle Busch was sideways. Watch this now. Watch as they get to the start-finish line here. Look at that contact.
That truck on the bottom sideways, sliding around. That's who won the race.
He is pushing the 51. Eric Almirola behind the wheel in this race. Kyle Busch goes down to the inside, all the way down to the double yellow line, and he edges him by 2 1/1000ths of a second.
And Johnny Sauter finished third, and I bet you he wasn't 5 or 6 1/1000ths of a second behind.
And I bet he was watching Kyle Busch and saying, are you going to save that truck, or are we all going to crash after the checkered flag? But man, this is what it's all about right here. These guys up front, Austin, Kyle, Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday, Buscher, Ricky Carmichael, Max Pappas, they've all given themselves a chance to win this race. These are going to be some of the most intense 6 laps, and it's probably going to be more like 10, because there'll be a caution. We'll have to extend the race.
Green, white checker here or there.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, the big question, and we saw how Kyle Busch went down on the double yellow line there. He was not advancing his position. He was forced down there because of sideways. I mean, he was literally sideways. But you cannot advance your position at Talladega or Daytona by going below the double yellow line. So in this situation, these guys are going to have 6 laps of racing, and they know that they can't go outside of those boundaries.
And I don't think I could have been any more torn up than I was at Vegas with all the action, how crazy that race is, but this tops it. This is going to be a crazy 6 laps.
We'll see how strategy plays out. The 3 and the 18 have been working together. Now they're side by side on this restart.
Green flag.
6 laps of racing to go. Green flag back in the air.
As soon as he crosses the start-finish line to the bottom, Kyle Busch gets hold of the bumper. You can see in the back there, Hornaday shot right up behind Mike Wallace. They did a perfect job as well.
The dancing partners have shown themselves immediately here.
Go, go.
Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon became unhooked.
Out for debris, caution out for debris.
Debris on the racetrack. Caution has come out once again.
They see that was inexperience on Austin's part. Austin got too good of a start on Kyle Busch. He was too far ahead of him, so Kyle couldn't get to him. What Austin needs to do, as soon as he pulls over, run half throttle, feel that truck of Kyle Busch, get into the back of him, and then gently squeeze the gas down. Look at all that debris, Rick.
Yeah, the debris on the racetrack, and one of the trucks just hit it. That's why the caution came back out.
Now we're going to have Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. Now we'll be starting both in the front row, so I think we're going to have the same situation. One of them is going to let the other one pull out in front of them so they can get hooked up right away.
But you remember in the Daytona 500, David Reagan had that plan to pull over right away. He pulled over too soon. You cannot change lanes before the green flag or before the start-finish line. Reagan was penalized. So Austin Dillon, while he needs to get a good jump and he needs to get to the left, he's got to wait till, Ron Hornaday, he's got to wait till, and Austin Dillon the same way. Everybody's got to get across the start-finish line before they start moving around. So whether you're Hornaday and Wallace or Dillon and Busch, clear the start-finish line. There's our lucky dog. How cool is that? I like this story too.
Big championship implications right here with Johnny Sauter getting the Aaron's lucky dog. Now he'll be back on the lead lap as we have just 4 laps to go when the green flag potentially will fly and they get lined back up 2 by 2. So Johnny Sauter will have to make his way around the racetrack to get that lap back.
Well, if he wins this championship this year, it's just because they fought back. That would be a great story to see this team, after all they've been through, still be in the battle for the championship when we get down to Miami.
You know, Austin Dillon, our point leader coming into this race, has an average finish of just over 10. Nobody has ever won one of these championships with an average finish more than 10. So obviously if he can stay up here and get a good finish here, a good top 3 finish, that's going to help his average. But right now this thing is anybody's championship.
We still continue to talk about battling through adversity. How about our Ram Tough Guts and Glory? We're going to talk about that 13 truck battling through that adversity once again here in Talladega.
He crashed hard
at Talladega.
At Talladega, had a lot of damage.
But they came to pit road. The splitter was broken. They repaired it. The left front fender was torn off of it, and he was 2 laps down.
Has received the Aaron's lucky dog.
He'll go wave around earlier. Yeah.
Look at that truck. They've done a nice job, too. I'd get in that baby and think I'd have a shot to win. Look at that front fender they made for it.
Ram Tough, Guts and Glory, the 13 team, and Johnny Sauter. So Johnny Sauter on our scoring monitor, currently 4th in the point standings, 26 points back.
Yeah, that could change dramatically, though. Now that he's back on the lead lap, all these positions in front of him are there for him.
And then listen to this. He was 30-some points back when he had that accident. Now he's already closed it up to 20-some. Can he take that 20-some and make it single digits?
Making their way one more time around. Ray.
Guys, watch that 3 truck. You thought he was going to restart up there in the lead pack. Guess what? He's got to drop back behind number 20. He did not maintain his speed, and I'm guessing that he had shut the engine off to try to conserve fuel. Many of these crew chiefs saying, you've got to save me some fuel, but he did not maintain his speed, and NASCAR is putting him back about 12 positions.
Wow.
Well, he's saving some gas, but you have to stay tied up to the other trucks you're around. So people are shutting off their engines. We all know that. That's part of the game. But
5-6 at the most.
After what we saw happen out in Kansas with people messing around with fuel, they decided to take a tighter look at it.
And meanwhile, Kyle Busch loses his dancing partner here.
What's going to happen, Phil?
Well, you're going to have to wait
and find
out. You'll just have to wait and see. Well, Racing Electronics is offering speed viewers a year-long inside deal. Reserve your next race scanner or fan view online for any NASCAR race and save $10. Visit speed.com/deals and click on the Racing Electronics banner for more information. So, big championship implications now for Austin Dillon, who wasn't able to maintain a cautious pace behind the pace truck because he was trying to save fuel, so he's shutting the engine off in intervals to try to save that fuel, and now he'll have to move back in the field.
Holy cow.
That's what they're saying, screaming, get him behind the 20.
Yeah, I'm sorry with NASCAR that we had something in our eye here.
Coming to the 1 to go, they say if you don't get there, they're going to black flag you. They're going to black flag you if you don't go there.
Johanna Long right now is being shown in the 17th position.
Well, this is
so he's trying to get behind the 20, and we heard Andy Houston say, if you don't get back there, they're going to black flag you. That's definitely what he doesn't want to have happen with a championship just in front of him.
Well, Austin Dillon, when they took that caution flag, Phil, he had about a 20-point lead over the rest of his competition. That's gone.
Gone. Absolutely.
He's going to be probably 2nd or 3rd in the points by the time he gets back to where he belongs.
3 laps to go now. When they get back to the stripe, it's 2 laps to go for the 94 laps, which is the advertised distance. This is not a green-white checkered situation here. This will be to see if we can get this one in 94 laps. They'll start to pair up 2 by 2 now.
Let's see how far off the pace the 3 was.
He's down on the bottom on the apron.
Which that's fine right there. You can see there's a bit of a gap behind him, but that's fine.
Let's see now if he slows, he moves back up on the racetrack.
He's catching back up again.
Probably going to run up a little bit and shut the engine down.
but he stayed right in there.
Well, we don't know, Rick. We're not.
Obviously, this shot takes us a different direction. So NASCAR makes the decision that he will restart back behind Johanna Long.
See Johnny Sauter rejoining the pack after his Aaron's lucky dog. Now he's got a shot at improving his position 10 to 20 spots.
You don't think Johnny Sauter will get a hold of Austin Dillon, do you? Push him in there. Stranger things have happened.
Here's another shot from the aerial view of Austin dropping back. See how he's dropped completely back, and
well, you see
two of Hornaday's gone by.
Holding up the whole field there.
Yeah, that's
blatant. You got to call that on him. Did it die?
It almost looks like it ran out of fuel for a second there.
Yeah, that looked a whole lot like Marcus Ambrose over at Infineon last year when he stalled his car out.
Yep, didn't get it running once again.
Wonder if he shut it off and it just wouldn't quite fire back up, Bill. That's what happened to Ambrose. You hear Kyle Busch on and off there starting his engine.
Listen now. Out of fuel right there.
No, I think he doesn't have the switch. Does he not have this? Maybe he's hit the kill switch or something. Yeah. For some reason there it is. He didn't have the switch up.
Yeah.
So he made a mistake. He didn't realize he didn't have the switch up. Lost all his momentum. Saw a mistake last week at Vegas, spinning out, racing for a championship. Those are things you can't afford to make.
2 laps until we see the checkered flag. Mike Wallace, Ron Hornaday, 1 and 2, coming out of the tri-oval. Green flag back in the air.
All right, come on down right now.
There's one out of gas back there, Phil.
Yeah.
One shaking out of gas down on the apron.
He won't make it back. If he doesn't get out of the way, we're going to have a caution.
I think they'll run 2 laps before he even stops.
Here comes Ricky Carmichael.
James Buescher just in front of him.
Got to hold somebody.
That was the 17 of Timothy Peters that was running out of gas. Now we've got the 33 of Mike Wallace in front of Ron Hornaday. Down the back stretch they go. Here comes James Buescher and Ricky Carmichael running 3rd and 4th.
And we know how fast those 2 trucks are. The first time we've seen them hooked together. Can they run up there and do something with our 2 leaders?
3 wide, back 10th through 20th. And they're spreading out as they come out of turn number 4.
If they get to the white flag here to the start-finish line before the caution comes out, the next flag will finish this.
We hope we don't see another caution across the stripe. 1 lap to go. Mike Wallace just in front of Ron Hornaday. Now the big question, will there be KHI orders for Hornaday to win this race?
That can't happen, Phil, because here comes Buescher and Carmichael. They do anything other than what they're doing, they're going to lose that 1st and 2nd spot. They got to hang right like that until the very last second. There's a chance at the start-finish line. Maybe Hornaday pulls out, but here comes Buescher.
Here comes the run by Buescher and Ricky Carmichael. Going into turn number 3. Wallace and Hornaday 1 and 2.
How about Jason White, Tom O'Neill, top of the racetrack, hooked up.
Coming out of turn number 4. This is where all the action will take place. Here comes the run. James Buescher trying to go to the outside. Mike Wallace being pushed by Ron Hornaday through the tri-oval. 400 yards to go. It's going to be Mike Wallace who's going to win this one at Talladega.
And that is a Kevin Harvick Incorporated win right there.
Oh, God. I am so excited.
Hey,
great job, Mike Wallace. Great job, Ron Hornaday. Couldn't dream of it any better like that.
In baseball, they talk about manufacturing runs. That team manufactured a victory.
And that was a team victory. No question about it. Mike Wallace was pushed around this racetrack for virtually 54 laps by Ron Hornaday. The ones that he led, that was Ron Hornaday pushing him around this racetrack.
And I think if maybe they had a bigger lead at the end, we might have seen a different outcome, but Michael hit it right in the head. They couldn't take a chance. They were not going to give that win away by trying to get Ron Hornaday out in front.
I would have tried it with a few hundred feet to go. It's close, man. Let me just give it a shot. But what a smart move by Ron Hornaday. He's racing for a championship. He comes in here some 20 points out. He's cut that to 16. Our championship battle at one point, Austin Dillon had some 20 points over everybody. Now he's only 3 ahead of James Buescher.
Again, Austin Dillon had to go back. He finishes 7th unofficially in this race. Ray Dunlap.
I'll tell you what, guys, if they ever write a program about how to make teamwork work, that was it today, Bruce Cook. How'd you guys do it?
I can tell you one thing, what happened today was Kevin Harvick. The man is so good at what he does, and drafting and experience of this. We brought a gun to a knife fight. We weren't going to bring a knife to a knife fight, so we were prepared for this. Them 2 guys did a great job. Kevin talked to him the whole race and did such a good job of coaching him. Ron's never had to do this, so it was new to him, and Mike, what can I say about him as being a speedway racer? It was just an awesome day for KHI, and we go to Martinsville, kick some butt.
How about 7 wins for you this season?
Yeah, it's been a good season so far. Chris Carrier's taking care of the 33, and I was taking care of it too. And next week we'll swap again, but what a great year so far.
All right, congratulations, Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. The tag team today showed them how to do it at Talladega.
Ray, that is the 6th 1-2 finish for Kevin Harvick Incorporated in the Camping World Truck Series.
I think this may have been the most impressive 1-2 finish they've ever had, because, Michael, this race was won in the shop back in Kernersville, North Carolina, because they had it scienced out. They had the cooling system scienced out. They knew what they were going to do. They did it from lap 1 on.
I love it. I love what that team did. Again, I agree with Bruce Cook. Congratulations, Kevin Harvick. That's how you put a plan together right there.
How about the excitement out of Mike Wallace? Here, the 52-year-old out of St. Louis, Missouri. Last time he went to Victory Lane in the Camping World Truck Series was back in 2000 at Mesa Marin. We don't even run at that track anymore.
What did you say? That nothing says speed better than Anderson's maple syrup?
If you don't know what fast is, you got to think maple syrup. That'll get it done in a hurry. I just think this is a great story. Mike Wallace did an amazing job. He was my speed spotlight driver, Phil. Has a speed spotlight driver ever won a race?
I'll tell you what, how about opposite end of the spectrum, though? Disgusted look on the face of Austin Dillon. Let's go down to Hermie.
Well, Ron Hornaday getting a kiss from the wife and talking about your teammate gets to burn the engine down, and you haven't been able to do that. But another great run for you guys. That's teamwork to perfection today for KHI.
It was. We didn't know how it was going to work, but Bruce and all the guys worked really hard. Kevin brought us in there. Kevin Delaney, thank you. And Bad Boy Buggies, this is fun to drive this 2-truck. I mean, this is what it's all about. And Anderson, got to thank them for letting this thing happen. I was supposed to be driving that truck, but Kroger, Hunt's Brother Pizza, Ream. I'm going to catch Mike Wallace real quick, but I'll be back. This is unbelievable.
Hornaday going to give his teammate a little bit of a handshake here, and Ron Hornaday is up to 4th in points, only 16 back.
What do we talk about the bounce in Ron Hornaday's step after he got in that 2-truck? He ran. Did you see him bounce over there?
I believe this sport is ageless. 53-year-old Mike Wallace being pushed around the track by 53-year-old Ron Hornaday. Mike Wallace, your winner at Talladega. An impressive form of teamwork. Ron Hornaday coming home second. .com, your link to what's coming up next, and that is NASCAR Performance. Beautiful afternoon for racing, and it was definitely action-packed. Getting out of the truck in Victory Lane, Mike Wallace celebrating his 5th career win in the Camping World Truck Series, making his 115th career start. Let's hear from the winner. He's with Ray Dunlap.
And Hornaday down here giving him congratulations. You're supposed to wait for my cue to get out of that truck, but I know it's been a while since you've been here, so we'll let you have that one. Congratulations, and talk about the teamwork that these 2 trucks had today.
The teamwork is so incredible because it started back at KHI. I got a call from Kevin last weekend when I was with my daughter Chrissy in Toledo about driving this truck. I showed up, and there was a plan from Monday morning of how this race would hopefully run. And right here, this is an incredible, unselfish individual, Ron Hornaday, because, you know, he could have worked for the win. Man, we were sideways at one point, but you just have no idea.
You're the first winner for Chevrolet at a super speedway plate racing.
First winner for Chevrolet. Kevin Harvick, please come here. Come here.
Now, this is about as far as you two were apart all day, so I guess we'll do a tandem interview, too.
I have to thank Kevin Delaney Harvick, everybody at KHI. Had he not given me this opportunity, it's been so long since I won a race, and nobody knows how much this means to me. I mean, it was my wife's anniversary, our anniversary on Thursday. Yeah.
You could have been in the Caribbean, but instead you were at Talladega, right?
It was the exotic Paradise Island, which is the infield of Talladega, but we just won Talladega. I understand the first Chevrolet to win at Talladega, and I'm just so appreciative. I mean, nobody really, how much work goes into this stuff, and just shows getting in a really good truck. I felt so good for Hornaday winning Kentucky a few weeks ago that he won again, and Kevin Harvick, you're the man, brother. I mean,
KHI 1-2, they're in Victory Lane. Big celebration coming up. Hermie?
Want to take a look at our points
This thing's been all over the place in the last half hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in the last race, in the last 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, even less than that. James Busher just 3 points back. Johnny Sauter, even after the incredible troubles that he had today, he was involved in a wreck on lap 35. He got the wave around on lap 49. He got the free pass on lap 90, and he ends up in a very impressive position now, just 14 points back. Hornaday just 16 points back. He finishes second here at Talladega, and Mike Wallace is going to smile all night long right here at Talladega. Welcome back. One of the toughest hurdles on the way to the championship is now behind us. Mike Wallace wins the Coca Cola 250. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Austin Dillon, you made your way back up to 7th. Obviously had a chance to win the race working with Kyle Busch. Tell us what happened from inside the truck on the racetrack and NASCAR's decision to move you to the back.
It shut off on me when I released fourth gear trying to save gas, but the thing that matters is I got it started up before I got back to the start-finish line, and I thought I got all my positions back. I didn't really never stop the truck, never stopped. It was rolling. So if they can show me where I completely stopped and lost 20 positions to the checkered, they can't, I don't think. I'd like to see it. I'll be waiting to see it. I got to thank Kyle Busch. He stayed with me and really taught me a lot today. I had a blast up there. I just wish we could have gone ahead and finished it out. Unlikely circumstances that we were drafting with him, and he really helped me out. And I learned a lot. And I don't know. I'm sorry for Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet. It was just one of those deals. So we'll go on to the next one. At least I think we're still the points leader. I don't know. But we'll go to Martinsville and go kick some ass.
That's Austin Dillon. He gets back up to 7th to maintain his points lead.
Just 3 points separating the top two. How about a great finish for Ricky Carmichael? He ties his career best in 4th today.
Yeah, James Busher continues his terrific season with a 3rd-place run.
I talked about Grant Enfinger a couple of times having a strong truck. He wound up 12th, so good run for Grant.
A great race once again at Talladega. This time it's Mike Wallace that goes to victory lane. Well, we've got short track racing. That's coming up next week at Martinsville.
Next week, the Camping World Truck Series heads to the half-mile paperclip called Martinsville Speedway for its 2nd trip of the season. Last April, Johnny Sauter went home with the grandfather clock, but now the championship race is ticking down, and it's time for some drivers to make some moves. Who will make the most of their time in Martinsville? Tune in to find out. Chris DeFota hosts the setup starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.